Welcome to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Hey! Oh my God, we're gonna get geeky and talk about geeky stuff right here at the one and only home of Fat Man on Batman, the Scum and Villainy Cantina right here in Hollywood, California. Put your hands together so the folks know you're real at home. Okay, before we go anywhere, before we dive into this week's geek news and whatnot, I watched last night, rewatched San Junipero episode of Black Mirror.
Did you now?
You've seen this.
Yes.
Anybody who has not seen it, get ready to have it fucking spoiled hard. No, I won't spoil it. It's something absolutely to be beheld if you've never seen it. There's a TV show on Netflix called Black Mirror. Kind of like a modern day Twilight Zone, right?
Right, but way more depressing.
Yes. Where at the end of it, you feel dirty after every one of them and stuff. And they had one, the only one where you never felt dirty at the end of it, which is an episode called San Junipero. And I wanted to rewatch it because when I was in New York a couple weeks back for the New York Comic Con, I interviewed Charlie Booker, the guy that created the show. And we were talking about the episode, and he said some interesting things. I said, all right, now I've got that. I'm going to rewatch it through the prism. And it's one of these episodes that once you've seen it, you know, there's something spoiled about it forever. Like you can only see it first for the first time. And it is a wonder because it treats its audience with such incredible intelligence. Like unlike most things that are written, movies, TV shows, where every fucking aspect is spoon-fed so that even the dumbest member of the audience can understand what's going on. San Junipero doesn't do that. For the first half hour, it is frustrating because you're like, I don't understand. What is going on? What are the rules of this? So watching it the second time, you know what the twist is going to be. And so that was missing. Like instead of like the gut punch of like, oh, now I get it. Something else replaced it. And that was pure emotion. I don't know if this is a word. Emotionality? No, that's not a word. It was pure emo.
I'll allow it.
Emo. Thank you very much. Let's say it was pure emo. I was fucking bawling so hard. And it was amazing. I'm just sharing this as a way for those of you, if you ever find yourself in the situation, you're with somebody, with a domestic partner of some sort, man, woman, whatever the fuck it is. Human being, though. And the idea is you're in a fucking fight or you're just like, oh, fuck this person, and you're not really into each other. Throw that episode on, man. Like all of a sudden you start rolling tears. My wife, who was hating me that morning when we woke up and shit, I started watching that. She like rolled into the bed. She's like, I fucking love you. I want to go to San Junipero with you. So it's not only is it a brilliant piece of writing, it's a brilliant piece of makeup as well. Like, you know, back in the day when you were a kid, maybe you play a song or something like that. Now you can literally throw somebody else's art up and be like, this is how I feel about our life together. And it rolls tears. It's a powerful piece of writing. Like, even knowing what's coming, it still worked like gangbusters. And then you start to see other little elements to it. Performances in it are off the charts wonderful. It's just a really human story. And in a show where it is pretty bleak across the boards, it's the one episode that's very life-affirming, even though technically it's about death.
See, I just put on a little Philip Bailey, and that makes it all better.
What Philip Bailey do you spin? Like Easy Lover?
She's an easy lover. Yeah, I've been working on my falsetto. What y'all think? I'm going to take it on the road. Luther Vandross.
How does that make your wife feel better if you're singing a song under You're an Easy Lover?
It makes her feel wanted.
Oh, really?
She's not difficult. She's easy, like Sunday morning. Another one that also works. You go the long road. Mama, watch a whole episode of television. 4 minutes, man.
You just
the magic of pop
pull
music.
out the iPod.
Bam. Drive.
Fair enough. What have you been up to?
I have been still gainfully unemployed. It is fun employed, I'll call it.
Wait, so you're done working on the show?
I'm done working on the show. I went up to the set a couple weeks ago. We talked about it the last Scum Villainy podcast, which just went up today, apparently. Yes. So hooray! But yeah, I spent 4 days in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, making it look like Maine with actors who are far too good to be speaking my words. Because Jesus, Like I kept apologizing to everybody. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry this isn't better. I'm sorry it's 3:00 in the morning and you're in the middle of the woods in Massachusetts freezing your asses off because I wrote exterior night instead of exterior day.
They're like, can we get Mr. Depressing off the fucking set, please?
And also like crying in the corner because they're saying my lines. And like we talked about, it's the first time I'd ever been on a set.
Moving thing, yeah.
Where people are saying things that I wrote. And so they were very surreptitious tears. Hopefully didn't annoy them. Could the guy crying in the back keep it down? We're getting it on the mics. I only got that once. And I have been putting together a new podcast, which I'm kind of excited about.
What, you cheating bitch? What is it?
I'm an easy lover.
Yeah, you are the Philip Bailey of this bitch.
It's called the Battlestar Galacticast.
Oh, that's a great title. Right? What's it about?
It is an episode by episode walk through Battlestar Galactica with me and Trisha Helfer.
6 with 6?
Caprica 6. And
wow. And Alberta girl.
And she apparently had never seen the show.
Really?
Yeah.
She just shot it but never watched it.
She's like, I did like dubbing for ADR and I saw like some early cuts without graphics and special effects. I've never seen the show, but my fans have seen the show. She's like, I was going to start a rewatch. I'm like, that's a fucking podcast. Don't you leave. I'm going to get mics and we're going to do this. And so we're doing it.
Right on,
yeah,
man. And so every episode, how many episodes you got?
There's 77 episodes, including the 2-part miniseries.
And what's awesome about that is there's an ending in sight.
Yes, this is not going to take.
Like with this show, we'll do this until we drop dead,
Yes.
There's no like conclusion, there's no summer break or anything like that. But at least with that, there's an end in sight where you're like, we get to 77, we're fucking done, we'll have a party.
Totally.
How could she have not watched it in all that time?
She admitted as much to me at the London Film and Comic-Con. Maybe we were drunk. I don't know. It was 10:00 in the morning. We're in London. Who can say? And
I passed her in the hallway.
She's tall.
Oh yeah, she's lovely as fuck. I mean, I met her years ago at San Diego Comic-Con. I did what was it? I guess I was there for. I think I moderated a Battlestar Galactica panel. So this time at the London Film and Comic-Con, she passed me, and it wasn't until she went through the double doors that I was like, oh shit, that's 6 from Battlestar Galactica, Trisha. But then the next person that passed me was what I thought was the world's best Terrence Stamp cosplayer I'd ever seen in my life. And I said that to my God. I was like, did you fucking see that Terrence Stamp cosplayer? And she was like, that was Terrence Stamp. Like, so I didn't get to talk to her, but that's a dope idea for a podcast.
No, she's real cool. And I get to be the nerd and she gets to be the one who's there. And it'll be a match made in heaven. Fingers crossed. And there'll be wine. So again.
Oh, really? You guys get drunk while you do it?
Hopefully.
What were you a big fan of the show?
I was a huge fan of the show.
Yeah, I love that show.
Like I was the evangelist for Entertainment Weekly when I was working there. Like I was the first one who watched all of it. Mm-hmm. It was like, motherfuckers, we have to cover the shit out of the show. And I wrote recaps every week and I got it on the cover of the magazine. When I left, the thing that they do, magazines used to do this, I don't know if they still do. But when you leave working for a magazine, they give you like a farewell cover where they will somehow superimpose you into the cover that most represents you.
Oh, to take home, but not for the newsstand.
Not for the newsstand, but just a little like thing you can put on your wall. And so my cover was it's Mary McDonnell and 6, and then me in the middle, kind of sandwiched between the president and Caprica, and my head. I may or may not show that to her because that's weird.
Yeah, like I'm a fan.
Look, don't mind me. Just get in the van. Does this rag smell funny?
Don't record in a van. That might send the wrong message. You're like, we're trying to be economical.
We can't let them know where we are.
You gotta, when have you started recording yet?
We did 1 so far. We're gonna bank like 6 or 7 before we launch.
Here's my challenge to you. Get fucking 10, then do one here live.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can run the episode and stuff, and you have to run it with the sound down, which is a little irritating for everybody else. But if you put up subtitles, fuck it, they could read. Everybody reads TV now, you know? At the end of the day, I used to try to get my wife to watch like a bunch of French movies. She's like, oh my God, I'm too tired to read. But now everything she watches on Netflix are shows from like Denmark and shit, and they're all heavily fucking subtitled. All of them about how to kill a husband. So
Hence the San Junipero slide.
exactly. I'm like, let's watch this. It's hopeful. All right, man. You got some news?
I got some news.
Let's
Should we
get
news
into
the
the
news?
news.
Do we have a special guest for our news?
No, we'll bring her in later on. First, we'll do some news, and then we'll bring. We got a guest tonight, man. Tiffany Smith is going to join us up here and chit chat.
What?
But first, let's do the news.
Let's get through this news. So they announced a release date for The Punisher.
Yeah, I saw this. I mean, I didn't even have to see this. I could have called this. I think we did call it. Yeah. They released the release date for The Punisher, which is big news now, to release the release date.
Yes.
Not just the fucking show. They're like, ready? We're going to tell you when it's happening.
Well, I mean, now there are
Like, gee, fucking thanks, man.
there are trailers for trailers. Have you seen those fucking things?
Oh,
Like,
God, yeah.
5 seconds of whatever. Stay tuned for 2 minutes of whatever.
They did that a lot for Batman v Superman. When before the trailer, they did a trailer for the trailer of that moment where Superman, like in the Bruce Wayne dream, where Batman's got his hands above him and Superman takes his mask off and fucking Batman's got the most perfect head of hair you've ever seen in your life. They did that. I remember that was a trailer beat because it was just that moment and it ended with him and his fucking big mane of hair. And I was just like, that's sexy. But yeah, so they finally announced the release date, and the release date for The Punisher, they're putting all, 9, 10?
13.
13 fucking episodes. Wow.
Yeah.
On November
17th.
which ironically is the same day as.
Justice League, I think, maybe.
So once again, isn't that weird? Just when DC's like, finally a little space for ourselves. And fucking Marvel's like, hold on. Don't forget us.
Yeah, like Thor is unzipping his Punisher dick and is like, oh yeah, by the way, you thought you had 2 weeks to yourselves? No.
Think about how ingenious this is. By comparison, people are going to say kinder things about the Punisher by virtue of the fact that they have 13 episodes to tell a story. Whereas Justice League, they just released the running time. It is 121 minutes with credits. So that means it's an under 2 hour movie, which I'm all for, man. Believe me, I've sat through many movies where I didn't go to fucking Blade Runner yet because I don't have 6 weeks to put aside.
I mean,
to watch the movie in a theater and stuff.
You need to like rotate yourself when you watch Blade Runner. So like
totally, we need intermission like in the old days. But this movie being under 2 hours, I think that's smart on one hand. On the other hand, it's a lot of story to try to tell in 2 hours. You think?
Yeah, especially given that most of the audience for Punisher and Justice League are the same audience.
Yeah.
And so I want to know somebody will have to do the numbers for me. What the impact of people staying home for a weekend to watch Punisher immediately will be on opening weekend grosses for Justice League.
I don't think it hurts it. I think, look, it's not like you're going to spend opening weekend going to see the Justice League 6 times, which is roughly the amount of time it takes to watch the Punisher. So, I think you were going to go see the Justice League definitely once, maybe twice that weekend. Now, what it does is maybe hamstrings the audience ability to go see it a second time because you're like, well, I'm fucking knee deep in the Punisher and stuff like that, which sounds filthier than I meant it, but you know what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, I don't think I've seen some people online going, oh my God, this is Marvel's big fat fuck you to DC. I don't know if it's a big fat fuck you. It seems opportunistic to jump onto that date, but I don't think it hurts either cause. You?
I think it's a thin fuck you. It was not a big fat fuck you, and I
yeah, an emaciated fuck you.
Yeah, it's kind of withered from the gaunt hand. Like, fuck you.
From the grave. Fuck you. But they're doing so well. That's the weird thing. And then, historically, movie division and TV division don't have much to do with one another. No. So whoever's dropping it on dropping these Marvel Netflix series on the theatrical dates, it's not even like you could point the finger at Kevin Feige or something like that.
I don't know. I see some definite Blofeld shit where he's just like pointing at a calendar. Let's do it there.
Really?
Press the button.
Boom. Could you imagine you're that good at your job and you get to fuck around as well? Where you're just like, this hurts, doesn't it? Okay, so that's going to be a busy weekend for everybody unless we get to see it a little early. Do you have any in at Warner Brothers to go see Justice League early?
No.
Isn't that fucked up? Neither do
A
I.
little bit. I mean, I used to be a journalist, so some of those people might remember me sometimes, but turns out when you no longer work for like the LA Times, they stop giving as much of a fuck about you.
Fucking Fat Man on Batman doesn't have the same credibility. Finding that out, Ari, is I used to be able to walk in any place at LA Times on my badge. Now I walk in, it says Fat Man on Batman. And they're like, the porn theater's that way.
Yeah. Like, yes, you are. What do you want? Like, but I want to come see your movie. I don't know. I'll try and work it a little bit. I can shake my shimmy and see what I can get into.
Me too.
Yeah, fuck it. I got womanly curves. I can make this work.
I'm trying to think if I know anybody there anymore. I mean, like really know them, not like I knew them in a different life or something like that. I don't know. I got no connects. I mean, I know people at the CW and shit. That's how I saw Batman versus Superman early. I was up doing an episode of The Flash, and they were like, hey, they're giving us a screening. Do you want to go? And I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking making The Flash, and I get to see this shit early. What a gift. And then the movie ended. I was like, take it back. No. I enjoyed it. But so I got to see it early because of the show. So I don't have any ends this time, man. We're just going to have, I don't mind. I'll buy a ticket and shit like that.
I will say this. I think that actually Marvel doing this is a bit of a favor to Justice League because I honestly think Justice League will not gross as much as, say, Wonder Woman.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think
you're calling that right now?
I'm calling that right now. I think it grosses less than Wonder Woman.
Why do you feel that? Because if Wonder Woman, look, let's do the dumb math. Like, let's say Wonder Woman's a beautiful, fucking, fantastic film, and that's why it made as much as it did. But let's do the dumb math. Wonder Woman's got one hero in it. Justice League's got 96. Shouldn't the movie make more money? More heroes equal more money?
I don't think so, and I think that the reason why people were going to these movies at all was they wanted to see Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman together.
Oh my God, that was good. That water was like fucking tasty.
Thanks, I thought it was awesome for a second. But I think the Trinity was the big pull, and they gave us the Trinity already. And I don't think that Cyborg or Flash or Aquaman even puts you that much over that bar.
Aquaman, though.
Aquaman might, like, they got to tee up a new movie coming out.
And based on the trailers, it seems like he gets a lot of screen time. It seems like Momoa's having a good time doing it. So maybe he's the sneak attack secret weapon.
It could be, but Wonder Woman was, amongst many things, a legit cultural movement.
Yeah.
Like, there were people going 2, 3, 4 times, taking people they knew to the movie because they might not have seen, taking their moms and their grandmoms and their daughters and Girl Scout troops and everybody that ever met that might have XX chromosomes to fucking see Wonder Woman.
Right.
And I don't think that exists for Justice League. I think we've seen these heroes before, at least the ones we've wanted to see. And I think that the Punisher is a pretty decent scapegoat if you want one. Be like, listen, we didn't do as well as Wonder Woman, but they released Punisher the same weekend. How are we supposed to know that?
Oh, are you serious? What you're saying? You're positing that right now Warner Bros. Is like, oh, thank God for the Punisher bullet.
A little bit.
Really?
A little bit of trapdoor.
Is it tracking the Justice League movie? I've never paid attention to that sort of stuff.
It's not. They haven't released tracking.
No
yet.
numbers yet.
No numbers yet. Like
how far away are we?
We are 3 weeks. No,
I saw a
5
billboard
weeks.
in a place where I never normally. Oh, in the Valley, I saw a big Justice League billboard on Ventura. So they're gearing the fuck up. It's happening.
Whether we want it to or not.
We all want it to happen. But it happens also, what, after Thor?
Thor's on the 3rd of November, then...
It's a huge fucking month. When does The Last Jedi come out?
December 15.
So
14 if you're lucky.
So it's still on. But man, what? All right, November is packed. One more month, one more reason to stay alive. 3 movies. All right, what else we got?
Speaking of Netflix and The Punisher...
I'm so distracted by this. Do these go in a drink of some sort? Do you use Frankenberry in a drink? It's fucking genius. What is it? What's the drink? I'm not an alcohol person, but I might drink it if it had cereal in it.
Force Ghost? Wait, what?
Reaver Rescue, a rough day, smuggling around. All right, we know the Frankenberry. No, Frankenberry. That's what I picked up. Frankenberry infused Tito's vodka, mixed berry, puree ice blocks. This will turn me into an alcoholic, man. Right on. Well done, JC. Okay, back to you.
Yeah, Netflix is committing to 80 original movies for 2018, and to afford all of this.
Not a single one of them is going to be mine. I'll tell you that fucking much. I've been in there to pitch many things, and each time they're like, "Oh, we love you," and they never pick it up. I just think they want to make sure that like I keep giving them my $9.99 every month and shit. I think that's what it's about.
I think you're right.
Pretty sure that's why they take my meeting. They're like, if we don't take the meeting, he might cancel. And we always need those subs. We're a slave to the subs.
But yeah, they did 8 original movies last year / this year. They're going to do 80 next year.
I saw one. I didn't watch it yet, but I saw a Mick G movie called The Babysitter.
What?
Yeah, did anybody see it? Holy shit, there's a movement.
Apparently it's good.
Yeah, but I saw an ad for it, or whatever you call the fucking poster or something like that. And I clicked on it because it didn't look familiar, and then I saw Mick G did it, and as mental note, I'm gonna watch that later. But that's an original flick, and they're not putting up billboards for them or anything. They're just happening.
Yeah, I mean,
like remember on HBO back in the day, they'd be like, "We made a fucking movie. Can you believe it? It's a movie." And they marketed the fuck out of it. And Netflix is just like, there's 19 movies. And you'll love every one of them, fuckers. And did you watch that War Machine movie with Brad Pitt?
No.
I did. It looked good, but it was okay. It wasn't what I hoped. I thought it looked like it was like they were like from the makers of The Big Short. And I'm such an idiot, dude. I literally work in that business, but I believe marketing,
From one guy who was a producer on a thing.
Like, holy shit, this is going to be great. It'll be exactly like that. And it wasn't. I love The Big Short. I've watched that movie incessantly. My wife thinks it's because she's like, I think you watch it because it's way smarter than you, and you want to be as smart as it. And I was like, maybe, because I still don't understand what happened. But to be fair, I still don't understand what happened at the end of Trading Places either. So, and that was like 30 years ago. So I'm not good with finance.
Listen, pork bellies, where you get bacon,
yes.
Frozen orange juice concentrate.
As in a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck it works either. Forbes did an article, I think it was like last year, on what happens at the end of Trading Places. Because nobody fucking knows. Like, you need business journalists to explain how shorting and buying, selling, it's time to sell, Winthrop. Why are we selling? Sell. I don't fucking know how that works. Nobody knows how that works.
All I knew is that Eddie Murphy won at the end, and that's all we cared about.
Yeah, and a dude gets fucked by a gorilla.
Oh my God, that's right. That does happen.
Yeah, and for comedy.
All right, so 80 flicks on Netflix.
80 flicks on Netflix. They have $8 billion to spend on
That's,
content.
where they got it. From me, from you, from all these people here. That's where they get that money.
And also debt, because giant companies can carry debt, but I can't.
Can you, I know that's like asking you to Big Short it, but can you explain what that means, big companies carry debt?
It just means that as you can borrow as much as you can borrow, provided that they think your company is worth as much as they think it is.
Okay.
So given
is this a publicly traded company or not?
It is a publicly traded company. So provided that subscription rates stay high, provided that they keep winning Emmys for shit, provided that they keep on showing that people want more and more and more, they can borrow more and more and more against it.
But business. But at a certain point, like, don't you want to be, is solvent when you're not in debt anymore? Like, wouldn't you want to work from a place of profitability, not debt?
You would want to, but giant corporations like that, almost all of them carry some level of debt. Thank you. What did I win?
That was the stock bell.
Did I win a fucking Reaver Rescue? Can I have a fucking fruity drink?
She was like, stop talking about fucking finance.
And we're done. Business. Cling. All right,
so they got a lot of money, and there's going to be more shit coming from
movies.
Netflix. Apparently, those Marvel shows are never going to end. They're just going to keep doing it.
They're going to keep doing them until Marvel starts its own app, along with the Disney thing, and then they'll do it for them.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll jump over there and do it? Yeah, but Netflix pays them for that show. Who would pay them at Disney? It would be like them paying themselves.
I think just Disney would pay them.
Because people be like, that's a reason for me to get the Disney app so I can watch Daredevil. It's the same place you can watch fucking Mickey's Clubhouse. You can watch Daredevil as well.
Pretty much.
Makes sense. All right, what else we got?
Speaking of streaming apps, Star Trek Discovery gets a second season.
Already?
Yeah, already.
So it must be doing well.
It's doing well in the way that they will never tell us how well it's doing beyond we're going to keep making more of them.
Right.
It's one of those where they said, we're getting more subscriptions to CBS All Access than we've ever gotten before, despite the fact it's a brand new service and we never had any before.
They just opened last month.
Yeah. Like it turns out that my grandma isn't getting that many subscriptions for NCIS reruns, but holy shit, people want to watch Star Trek. So,
right.
2019, I think is when it's coming out.
Have you watched any more than the first 2?
I've watched now the first 5.
And?
It gets better and it gets weirder and it also gets a little bit worser, if that's a word.
Hey, if emotionally is a word, then worser is a word.
Like they're doing some really interesting things with the main character, who I still don't know why her name is Michael, but fuck it, her name is Michael. And she's conflicted in some really interesting ways, but it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere that quickly. And the Klingons are still a fucking mystery that don't make any real sense, but whatever.
Are you a Walking Dead guy?
I am not. I dropped out a couple seasons ago. Are you?
I'm current. So I watched the season premiere, which was also the 100th episode of the show. And after a long season last year where it was like, do something, Rick, do something. Fucking do something, Rick. God damn it, he's not going to do anything. This season opened with a pretty strong do something.
What did he do?
He didn't shoot Negan when he had a fucking chance. I'll tell you that much, man. Like, what did he do? Counted what? He did. He was just like, I'm going to count to 10. On 7, he started shooting. But to be fair, he let Negan do a 20-minute monologue prior to that. At any point, he could have put a fucking bullet in his open mouth and he was like, well, Rick. Like, just shoot him there, man. 2 words in, you got him gone. He's going to be with us with a while longer, I think. Fuck, they're really pulling the taffy on this guy.
I think I dropped out of that show, like, I don't know, fucking just before Terminus, I think. And I tuned back in for the Negan premiere, like, who are we going to kill?
Right.
And I kind of realized for myself that there is no ending of this show that makes me feel good about having watched this show. You know, like
you're looking that far down the road?
Because, I mean, it's going to be on forever. They're never going to cancel it because it's, to be honest, the only thing that AMC has going for it.
Hey.
And listen.
But that being said, season 7 of Comic Book Men just debuted, ladies and gentlemen.
Everything drafts in the wake of Walking Dead.
It's true. Believe me, I know I don't have an audience of my own. I'm cannibalizing the audience of Robert Kirkman.
You can be a remora on that giant eel, and that's fine.
Yes. I don't think of it as a remora on the eel. I think of it as me surfing on Kirkman's long dick. All the way till midnight.
But so, like, if I'm watching that show, which will probably never end, but at some point it will because every show does, what's going to be the resolution that made all of this carnage and pain and agony and suffrage having been worth the trip?
They cure, zombieism.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Ask and answer. I don't think so, but
that has to be where it's going, right?
They have steadfastly said that is never going to be what happens.
Yeah, but
fucking aliens.
By the time you're ready to shut down, you're like, fuck it. Let's cure it. Let's let them all live happily ever after. I'm just hoping he gets to the end with both hands intact still. In the comics, not so lucky. All right, so wait, we weren't talking about Walking Dead. We were talking about
Discovery.
Discovery.
So, yeah.
I still haven't watched beyond the first 2, but I will. Jason Mewes is loving it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because Jason Mewes and Star Trek never went together. Too thinky for a guy like him. The one that he gravitated toward naturally was the J.J. Abrams version, because that was less thinky and more fucking run! Just explode, Spock! Like, it's more of a movie for experience and shit, but he seems to like this new Star Trek.
Yeah, so more of that, if you want more of that. Anybody watching Discovery? Yeah? Do you like it?
Don't get defensive. You're like, I do. I like it, all right? Fuck you guys. Sue me. It's entertaining. Are you watching The Orville? Yeah. I didn't ask you. No. Are you watching The Orville?
I'm a couple episodes back, but I am watching The Orville.
You are watching now?
Yeah.
I'm not. Apparently, they're very similar, yes?
They both are Star Trek.
So my man said Orville's better. How do you feel about that?
I feel like if I had never seen Star Trek before, but always heard about it, and was like, wouldn't it be fun if Star Trek was just like 10% funnier? That's what the Orville is.
Is that what it is? Star Trek, but 10% funnier?
Absolutely. Like Next Generation Star Trek, even. But it's not bad. It's just...
That would have been an amazing title that put it right on Front Street. Star Trek, but 10% funnier.
Yeah. Like new and improved Star Trek.
Yeah.
Kinda.
This time, the Tribbles are called Merkins. See? 10%.
See, there you go. I like Orville. It's doing well, I think, on Fox. I don't love it because, again, I've seen lots of Star Trek, so I know all of where it comes from. But yeah, it's totally fine. My kid loves it. I'm just not as in love with it as he is.
Okay. All right, what's the next story?
It turns out that once upon a time, David Fincher was in line to direct a Star Wars movie.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's news. I never heard that. When?
He was in the running for episode 7.
Which was
A Force Awakens. Yeah. And then was apparently in talks for 9, but pulled out because he said it's a crazy amount of stress and I don't think it's worth it.
I would imagine this is a guy who could pretty much do anything he wants. Like, why leave that sort of freedom behind to go into a world where there are constrictions left and right? Thank you. He certainly, that's the logic bell. Whenever we make sense, somebody hits it. What would he, other than like, oh my God, I made a Star Wars, which isn't even his thing, it's somebody else's thing. What does it get him where he can just stay in his world, literally do whatever he wants? And if he wants to do a space opera, he totally could. He doesn't even have to do that one. But it's an interesting idea, like the idea of David Lynch doing Return of the Jedi. Like the idea of David Fincher doing Force Awakens.
Yeah, like 48 takes of anything from David Fincher. Like, we're going to keep doing this. No, Carrie, I get you're old. Come on, Harrison, don't break another leg, but we got to do 140 takes of this.
I wonder if he would have built the Millennium Falcon if he was doing Force Awakens. Because that's what hurt Harrison Ford's leg, is the Millennium Falcon. So if that didn't exist, his leg never gets hurt. It was the door, the drop down. Ironically, the fucking thing that you need to get on the Falcon broke his fucking leg.
Do you think that's like the sliding doors that puts us back in the right timeline?
What timeline would that be?
The one where we don't have the president we have? Like if Harrison Ford doesn't break his ankle, are we suddenly back where we're supposed to be?
I think there's a butterfly effect there, yeah.
Awesome. All right, hey, we fixed it, you guys. Where's the fucking logic bell?
Nobody's by the logic bell. All right,
but yeah, he said, quote, you have to really clear your head. If you have to be really ready to make sure this is something you want to do. Either way, it's 2 years out of your life, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no getting around it. So he removed himself from consideration for episode 9.
I could totally see that. That makes sense. Why? He doesn't need that. Be fun, maybe on one level, but more of a headache than anything else. And he's got to answer to somebody. He doesn't need that. He can go off and do. What's he doing right now? Anybody know? Fincher? He did Mindhunter, that show? I lost my wife to that show for 4 days. Fucking Fincher did that shit? Wife stealing piece of shit. She loved that show. She's like, you should watch this. It's very smart. I was like, is it as smart as The Big Short? And she goes, nothing's as smart as The Big Short to you.
I think he's also been toying with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea since forever.
Oh, I'd watch that. Him with the Nautilus and a giant fucking squid.
Yeah. I think Will Smith was attached at one point.
I think I'd watch him do anything. What was the last thing Fincher did?
Gone Girl.
I didn't watch that. No, I did watch that. That was the last movie that he made, was Gone Girl? What? I guess he's been working on that show. I know, those look amazing.
Go ahead, keep showing.
Dive in.
Does this go in the thing? It's just a serial shooter. Am I gonna choke to death if I just?
You eat the cereal and then you chase it down with the booze.
Right.
Are those like ice cubes that are made of something?
Of punch. That's nice.
All right,
you got one too.
I do. Where are we going next?
Let's see. I saw Geostorm over the weekend.
How was that? That was the Dean Devlin movie, right?
It was. I had most of it theater to myself. It made 13.
We call that a tusk. That is good.
It's like a daiquiri.
Yeah. I'm not a booze guy, but that was good. I
It is.
want these so badly, though. Oh my God, I want to eat these so much. No, man, it starts here and then it ends with me fucking mainlining hot dogs and M&Ms in a gutter somewhere. I've been there before, man. It's best to stay right where it is.
Is this the biggest gulp you got?
I've asked that question. Okay.
Yeah. So Geostorm. If you've ever seen a Dean Devlin / Roland Emmerich joint,
Yes.
this is that.
He made that movie not 1492. What was it?
2012.
That's it.
I mean, it's also kind of.
I knew it had numbers in it.
It's also about the rape of the natural world, but less Columbus and more giant waves.
Right.
It's not good.
He wrote
It's not good in a dozen ways.
produced Independence Day.
He did. He was a writer on Independence Day, writer on Day After Tomorrow, writer on Stargate.
Stargate as well? Is that a Roland Emmerich movie?
That's a Roland Emmerich joint.
Joint.
Spike Lee talk.
Yeah, really.
And then they had a parting of the ways. Nobody's.
Yeah, they had a fight, falling out.
They had a big fight, and so they went. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Own the room, motherfucker. Why are you down here when you could be like, hi, I'm Bernardin. Yeah. Barry White.
How you doing? Well, I don't know what to do with this power.
I know. This
is kind of amazing.
It was time.
So he made this Geostorm movie, which has been on the shelf for about 3 years.
That means they went and did reshoots.
Very expensive reshoots for about 2 months. New director, they added new characters, they cut a bunch out of it. You can tell all of it. It's not particularly well done. Except that shit blows up good, because at the end of the day, that's kind of all I'm there for.
What is the Geostorm? Just a killer storm? Is it like how the plants came after us in the M. Night movie?
The Happening?
Yeah.
It's the trees.
Yeah.
No, it's apparently, if I can summarize this shitty plot handily, it's global warming has pushed the environment to the point where storms are increasing all around the world at an alarming rate. So they create this giant satellite that can regulate the environment and atmospherics. But of course, said satellite goes bad because that's what fucking happens. So Gerard Butler, scientist, sure, is sent on a space shuttle.
This is science.
He is the if you've ever seen a Roland Emmerich Dean Devlin movie, he's the guy who knows science who has to explain it to everybody who doesn't want to believe him. Guy.
Right.
So he
needs a podcast. That'll really help communicate it.
You're not in it for the science. And so he goes back up to his fucking space station to fix it before all of these individual storms form some giant sinking all over the world geostorm, because that's a thing and not a car from the late 90s.
Is that would we drown or
it's like it's basically it's the beginning of Flash Gordon. It's like hot hell. It's fucking like
the
lava.
Beginning of Flash Gordon. That was a choice though.
Oh yeah, totally. Ming
was giving us bad weather.
Light is on board.
Yeah, he was doing it because he was fucking bored, piece of shit.
That would have been better.
But this movie, that's just happening naturally, or
no, because
the satellite went rogue and did it.
It almost went rogue, except there's bad politicians who are being villains who want to somehow remove science from the earth and bring it back to the Dark Ages so that America can once again be the dominant force on the planet.
What an imaginative script.
Yeah. Spoiler, the bad guy's Ed Harris, because of course he is.
Oh, Ed Harris is in this.
Yes.
Why didn't you start with that?
Gerard Butler is enough of a pole.
This whole time. I liked Ed Harris. Did you see Mother?
No. Any good?
It's interesting to watch, at the very least.
At the very least.
Good. Yes, I do think it is good. But it's an allegory. So
for what?
You don't want me to tell you. You got to see it, and then we'll talk about it. But it's an allegorical film. So in that way, most people go to the movies, they get their shit pretty much on Front Street. Like, here's your bad guy, here's your good guy, and stuff like that. This is a movie where everything on screen means something else.
Is it an allegory for what it's like to date Darren Aronofsky?
No,
Sure.
I don't think so.
Because that's
I
what he
can't
says
remember
it
what it was like to date Darren Aronofsky, so I can't recall exactly. But he was in it, my point. And he's pretty wonderful in it, Ed Harris. I've always liked him in everything, man. Remember he was John Glenn in The Right Stuff?
So good.
Yeah.
Sam Shepard.
And then just for you know what movie I watched to death? I love all the HBO political movies and smart people movies. Like they did Too Big to Fail about the banking system. Anything I can't understand, HBO generally does a movie about. So he was in Game Changer, which was the story of John McCain and Sarah Palin. And he was a pretty excellent John McCain, man, Ed Harris. But I've heard he can be surly.
I also buy that.
Yeah.
Having spent some time with Scott Glenn on the Castle Rock set, it seems as if actors of a certain age can be surly.
What do you think that's about, man?
I think it's just like
Fucking tired of this.
the same way that like your granddad wants to sit in the fucking good chair and get the good piece of chicken every day. It's like this is just the fucking way that I live my life. Why you gotta come in and take the fucking good piece of chicken? This is my house. That's my chair. I wanna watch my game when I wanna watch it.
Next time I watch Silence of the Lambs or when I watch Daredevil, Scott Glenn comes up, I'm gonna be like, you know what his problem is? He wants the good piece of chicken.
So yeah, don't see Geostorm. Also probably not a problem since you've all not seen it. So
Did it do well this weekend?
no, it got killed this weekend. $13.3 million. They spent $140 million on it. Yeah, so
Wow.
no Geostorm 2. Electric Boogaloo.
What else came out this weekend?
Medea, Boo, Halloween, cross-dressing, whatever the fuck that is.
Boo 2?
Boo 2.
Another Madea Halloween?
Another Boogaloo, yeah.
That was number one?
That was number one, 20-something million.
I give it up to Tyler Perry, man. He carries his audience and they go with him wherever, on any journey. Literally any journey he wants to take, his audience will go on. He's now at this point, he's like, I mean, Boo was based on a joke in a Chris Rock movie. Remember? He made the joke in Top 5 about like Tyler Perry's doing Boo, a Madea Halloween. It was a throwaway joke in that movie. And then Tyler Perry was like, no, that's not funny. I am going to do that. And he did it, and now he's done a second one. Like anybody that ever bags on him, I'm like, fuck you, he built an empire. Like,
And it's no fucking joke. He owns half of Atlanta at this point. Like Marvel owns the other half.
Indie, like the story of what's the show he's got? Royal Pains or something? But was the Royal Pains a show?
It was, but that was about doctors in the Hamptons.
Was that him or no? Did he do something called The Pains or Royals? Fuck, I don't know. He had a TV show where he went.
I'm not a black person, man. I don't know about Tyler Perry shit.
He went and made 100 episodes in advance. Like he made all the episodes and then sold it to the network, rather than like the network financing it piece by piece. Like that's just genius, man. This is good. I mean, again, he's not making them for me, but he's making them for somebody because they're all going.
He is so powerful, he worked his way into a Star Trek movie.
I know.
No other good reason than he wanted to be in a Star Trek movie.
I remember that. He was in JJ's.
As the head of Starfleet Academy. Because sure.
All right, so wait, that came out this weekend, and then what else? There was another big movie that didn't quite go anywhere. Snowman.
Shit.
Those billboards looked fantastic to me, but then again, they look like the Zack and Miri billboards. So, and we all know what happened there. So I was looking forward to watching that movie. I like him. I thought the trailer looked fucking badass with like a dead person's head on a fucking snowman's body. But then every piece of literature I saw come out of the movie, not reviews, just people on Twitter just going like, it's a half a movie at best or something.
They thought it's worse than Geostorm.
Really?
Yeah, and that's bad.
You didn't see it?
Because I'm a pussy, remember? I don't see horror movies. Yeah, I don't do that. Fuck that.
I'm going to check it out.
Life is scary enough. I don't need to go into a dark place and be extra scared.
Excellent fucking point. I woke up this morning and read a news story about like how the North Korean defense minister was just like, it's coming. And I was like, fuck, man. I just woke up. Yeah, apparently we're getting into a war in any day now, man.
Well, also we now have bombers on 24-hour alert. So
that
hey,
was the story I read, and they
awesome.
brought a lot of people out of retirement, old pilots and stuff. Where I'm like, you think that's a good idea to bring old people out of retirement for this thing?
Just one last ride,
I guess. All right, but let's fucking bury our head in good news.
All right, we got let's see, 2 more things.
Okay.
Did you ever read the Lone Wolf and Cub comic books?
Yes, of course.
Did you like the Lone Wolf and Cub?
I read them. I didn't understand them, but I read them.
It's very smart.
It is. It's way too smart for me.
There are 9,000 some odd pages of that comic book tracking an executioner in feudal Japan who is wanted by his ex-lord and revenge, and he's got a baby because
He's got
that's
to protect
awesome.
the baby.
Justin Lin is now signed on to direct the movie version of that at Paramount.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Except
That story has been stolen again and again and again and again. Terminator 2 is basically Lone Wolf and Cub to some degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I love that book to death.
I'm glad they spilled because I was sitting there going, I am going to eat them. But now that they're on the bar, no.
I mean, yeah.
Don't point that out. I was looking at that going, there are 9 in the cup that didn't touch the bar.
You got to want it, Kev.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that should be a TV show, not a movie. That's just me. I feel like it is one of the great serial stories of our time.
Let's take it one step further, the discussion. Shouldn't everything be a TV show at this point and not a movie, sad to say? Like, isn't that where everybody wants to consume their media?
I mean, yes and no. Like, there is still something wonderful about, like, the 2-hour perfect experience in a movie theater. Mm-hmm. You know, like, as much as I would be down for a Star Wars TV show, and there are some that I hear are very good, it's a movie thing for me. Right. Like, I want it that big. I want it on that screen.
Do you think it's because that's how it began with you? What if you're a kid coming of age right now? You give a fuck if Star Wars is a movie experience?
I think
if somebody was like, hey man, it's 9 parts on Netflix, would you be just as happy?
If I was a kid, absolutely. Like, kids are screen agnostic. They don't give a shit.
Really, it's true.
It's going to be on a screen at some point that's this big in my pocket, fine.
And they also don't know where anything emanates from. Like, I remember talking to my kid about some show, and I'm like, the Goldbergs. And I was like, it's on ABC. And she's like, what's that? And I was like, ABC, the network. And she's like, huh? Because everything she watches from ABC is usually on Hulu or Netflix.
Yeah, American Broadcast Company.
One day, it's just going to be like Network promised. One day, it's one gigantic Omnicorp. All right, what else you got?
Well, okay. So Hot Topic.
Ooh, I like Hot Topic.
Is selling Justice League gear.
And a Kevin Smith Funko Pop.
What?
Exclusive at Stan Lee's Comic Con. Stan Lee's Los Angeles Comic Con coming up this weekend.
Yeah, you going?
I am. I think I'm doing a thing with Ralph Garman in honor of Adam West at the con this year. And I'm doing a signing of my Funko Pop.
Very cool.
Yes.
I will be there Friday, I think, signing copies of my comic book, Genius, at the Top Cow booth.
Tell them about your book.
It is the second miniseries of an ongoing la-di-da called Genius. This was Genius Cartel from Top Cow/Image. Mm-hmm. Lots of blood, lots of guts, lots of female empowerment, and all kinds of punching and shit. So
look at you writing comic books.
The other thing that I've been doing, and I can't really talk about what book it is.
Okay.
I will say that for the last 4 years, I've been working on a graphic novel biography of the most famous athlete of the 20th century. You can put that together in your heads. I will neither confirm nor deny whatever anybody shouts out from the crowd.
Clearly, it's Wayne Gretzky.
It is not. Sure, yeah, it's fucking Wayne Gretzky. But I turned in the final draft of this 300-page graphic novel.
How long have you been working on it?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
Wow, fucking 4 years of your life?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I think if I was involved in a project and it went longer than 2 years, I'd be like, not worth it. Good for you, man. Way to stick in there and finish. You had to do a lot of research?
A ton of research.
Did you talk to people?
No, because it turns out that he is also the most documented person maybe on the planet. But yeah, so I've been doing revisions on this thing this week, and it's the first time I've ever had to do revisions on anything this long. And it's awesome and frightening and amazing, but comic books. Yay.
And that's the other end of the spectrum, much shorter.
Yeah,
In
totally.
and out.
Hell yeah.
Look at you, master of wordsmith, making your money off words, using your mouth to make money.
I'm an oral.
You're an oralist.
I'm an oralist. The oral tradition.
All right, what else? Is that the last?
That's about it, man. There's a new Mutants trailer, which I suppose we could talk about,
Let's talk about that.
which does not look like a superhero movie at all.
What a great approach. Yeah. How fantastic. They're having fun over there at Fox, it seems like. You know, everyone, of course, Marvel's defined this game at this point with the comic book movie, but Fox constantly reminding you, like, hey, man, we were doing X-Men when nobody gave a fuck, and now we've been doing it for so long, we're just going to try different variations. Deadpool was a complete variation on the theme and something brand new. Logan was a complete variation of the theme, something completely new. And now it looks like New Mutants is the same thing. Like when I heard they're making a New Mutants movie, I'm like, all right, I know what it's going to look like. Then I start watching that trailer. I'm like, this is the fucking New Mutants? I'm so in. It's a horror sell. Looks like they made a horror movie out of it.
Which is really fucking smart because
You know who directed it? The guy that made A Fault in Our Stars.
Josh Boone.
Yeah, he was on the podcast once. Sweet fucking guy. But that movie, like The Fault in Our Stars, looks like the opposite of this New Mutants thing. Or the best version of The Fault in Our Stars that we never saw, where they got all fucked up powers and started killing people.
Yeah, I mean, it's super smart because it's the best way, horror is the best way to sell a movie that does not require stars. It just works because we're in it for the genre. And if you're going to decide to make an X-Men movie that does not have Hugh Jackman in it and does not have like baby versions of heroes you've seen forever,
Right.
fucking sell it as horror. Like it goes down so easy. And the people who love X-Men movies will show up anyway. That's how you get people who don't know.
It's smart. What was the other trailer they dropped as well? Last Jedi trailer. Did we talk about that last
Talked
time?
about that.
Then there was another trailer this week. Fuck. The Black Panther trailer. What did you think of the new Black Panther trailer? How did we not talk about this yet? What did you think of the new Black Panther?
I talked about it on
Oh, you did
I did a
trailer
standalone.
reaction?
Yeah. It. I feel like I'm gonna have to take February off. I feel as
When's
if
it come out?
mid-February, I think it was 16th, something like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna need the month to just like build up to it and then just to come down off of it. I saw Marshall today because I wanted to pretend that it was the story of T'Challa's college years, like when he learns to do law before going back to Wakanda.
How was Marshall?
That's all right. It's
It's no Black Panther.
it's no Black Panther. It's like Law and Order plus black people. Which, I mean, it's totally conventional. You've seen it 1,000 times, but oh, awesome. Hey, he gets to do it all from
And
murder.
it's Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman.
Who else is in it?
Blah, blah, blah. Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us.
Oh, right.
Who's great. And Kate Hudson, who still looks good. What? Sorry, did I say
Hudson.
Kate Blanchett?
Is it not Kate Hudson? Who is it?
It's Kate Hudson. I said Kate Hudson. Did I say Kate Hudson?
She thought you said Kate Batshit.
I mean,
Is that what you said? I thought you said Kate Batshit. Yeah,
what'd you think?
Black Panther trailer looked fantastic, and also now they're really selling Wakanda, like even right down to Wakanda forever, the chant and stuff like that. But just the nation, like in comics, that's always been one of the appeals of the character is there's this secret nation that is so technologically advanced they're beyond the rest of the world. And I've just been for the last 3-4 days rewatching the Marvel catalog, getting ready for Thor. So just to watch them connect the dots. And in Civil War, they really kind of laid the track for Wakanda and the nation of Wakanda and stuff like that. And of course, introduced T'Challa and T'Chaka, his dad. It's thrilling, like to watch shit from your childhood come to life. Bless you. And to have terms said that now will become commonplace for others. Think about how many times in your life you've said Wakanda. And if you said that to somebody outside a certain fucking circle of friends, they would look at you like, what is that? Now you'll be able to say it, and even your fucking grandma will be like, Wakanda forever. It's gonna enter the pop culture in a big bad way.
I know. There is something so And I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for me and the people who look like me. I will take it on my shoulders, but there's a level of pride to that movie. There's a level of kind of unapologeticness to that movie. Like, it's not asking for space. It's demanding your attention.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that before for a hero like that. You know, for a hero who looks like that. And for an entire film that feels generated from that world, from the bottom up.
Right.
It's always been like, oh, hey, so he's Blade and he's cool, but everybody else is not Blade. That's fine. Hey, Whistler's cool too.
Right.
Yeah, there's Catwoman. Let's not talk anymore about Catwoman.
Right.
You know, but like there is something there. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to put into words precisely what I think this movie is going to mean to a great many people.
I think what Ryan Coogler was able to do with Creed, it seems like he's taken to Black Panther and done it 100 times over, 100% over what he did in the last one. It looks phenomenal. It looks a part of its Marvel universe as well, but it also looks completely fresh and completely new.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that Marvel can do on these sort of peripheral movies, which is here's your main line, here's your main heroes, and then here's fucking Guardians, here's Thor Ragnarok, here's Ant-Man, here's like take a fucking swing.
I rewatched Ant-Man this morning. Such a good flick.
It's a delightful movie. Like it's a heist movie. They just decided, let's make, what do you want to do? I want to make a fucking romantic comedy. Okay, go. I want to make this. Go.
Right.
Because you know that Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to be like a romantic comedy.
Can't wait for that either. Hey man, did you hear Ryan Coogler's not coming back for Creed 2 and that it's Stallone is going to direct it instead?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean,
I thought the most exciting, I loved Stallone in Creed and I was glad he got props and stuff, but the most exciting aspect of that movie was the creative talent behind it.
It was. I mean, and to be fair, Ryan Coogler was the first person to write a Rocky movie, not Stallone, ever. Like, Stallone has been the architect of this franchise since the very beginning.
True.
He directed almost all of them himself. Like, it's not like he's bad at it. It's not like he doesn't know the characters. But there is just like why you walk away from a winning team like that. Or maybe Ryan didn't want to do it. Maybe
maybe that's it. Maybe he's like, look, I'm here and I'm going to do another one of these instead of another one. Or maybe he wants to do something completely different.
Maybe I want to do my own thing. Like I played in your world, I played in Marvel's world, and I want to play in my world.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that thinks that Creed 2 will be lesser for not having Ryan Coogler involved.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Based on how excited I was about the last one. It's imminently watchable and rewatchable.
God. Like you want to see a dude cry, just put on Creed.
Yeah. Used to be Field of Dreams. Now it's Creed. Yeah, that's true. Michael B. Jordan did carry the ball in a big bad way. He was wonderful. He looks fantastic as Killmonger as well. Black Panther. All right. We done with the news? We're done with the news. Fuck it, man. I know you guys are tired of looking at two fucking middle-aged men talk about pop culture. Let's talk to somebody who talks pop culture on a regular basis. She does it for DC All Access. She's done it for Fandango. She did it for us on Geeking Out when we were on AMC last year. And you got to know her from any number of fucking things. Come on up, Tiffany Smith, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. How you doing? Good to see you. Hi. How you doing? Am I going in the middle here?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that cereal is really tempting right there.
I know, right?
Mostly I don't even care. I'm doing the marshmallows. Yeah.
I mean, mine didn't spill. I'm just saying I can hold my liquor.
I mean, but the marshmallows were so accessible that I was like, it had to happen.
You didn't even go for the ones in the cup. You took the bar ones.
It was more accessible right there.
Fair enough. What have you been up to?
So we talked about this a little bit. You guys did last week, but Comic-Con. I was at New York Comic-Con, which was really crazy and awesome. And
what were you doing there? Tell them what you were
So
up to.
we live streamed for DC All Access like 2 hours every day from the floor, which was crazy. And the first time we did it. But it was one of those things where it's like, I think you work in this industry and I grew up reading comic books and then you do something like this. And one of the days I was there, it was the 25th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series. So Bruce Timm was there. And then I got to talk to Frank Miller and I got to talk with Jeff Johns and Jim Lee all in one day. And at the end of the day, I was like, man, I'm tired. And I thought about who I got to talk to. And I was like, this is my life. Like, it's craziness, the stuff that you get to do.
Professional fan.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it? When did you start?
So at DC All Access, I started like probably, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Do any of you guys watch the show? DC All Access? Yeah? Yay. I literally thought for a second, I was like, no one's going to say anything. And I'm going to be like, yay, myself. So we started
At the last second, I was going to be like, I have.
Well, they're probably like, oh, we watched the episodes that Kevin was on.
No, I'm sure that they say it's free on the internet. How can you not watch it?
It is on DC's YouTube channel. So I started that about 3 or 4 years ago and have been doing it ever since, and then got to start doing more stuff with CW and Warner Brothers. And that was how we actually got connected, because you did a live stream for Man of Steel.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I got to interview for that, and then did stuff with CW. And
I remember you interviewing me with Fandango someplace too.
Yes, we did Sundance, I think, a couple times.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Because I remember walking out and going like, fuck, man, she's like way knowledgeable and shit. You're like, for a person that has to talk to other people, and then for a person who talks to other people and stuff, you're dream content provider, because you always have stuff to talk about. You're way on top of like what's happening. And you're always talking about shit that's kind of like right up my alley, DC specific and whatnot. Wait, but go back. When did you start, and how did you get to DC All Access?
So I started hosting. My first job that I got hosting mainstream was for G4's Attack of the Show.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Hardwick country.
Yeah. So I lived in New York City and was like, if I want to do this hosting thing, I got to move to LA. And I always compare it to like in Indiana Jones, when he walks over the invisible bridge and he's like, oh God, am I going to go? That was me moving to LA. I was like, I have no job. I don't know what's going to happen. I had met with people when I came out to LA, but they were like, we can't offer you anything till you're here. So I moved to LA, and I'm like, within 2 weeks of being out here, I was getting to do stuff on Attack of the Show, which was awesome. And for anybody who works, acts, hosts in this industry, it's like there's a secret world of geeks in LA. As soon as you're in, the door opens and you walk in and you're like, oh, there's Seth Green, there's Nathan Fillion, there's Kevin Smith. Like, you just kind of,
I've never been in the room with those guys.
But I'm saying you kind of like,
what
it's
fucking
like
geek secret is this? I've never been invited.
I just spoiled it.
I know.
Sorry.
Well, it's only one at a time.
I hide that invite.
It's one at a time, man. Like, once you leave, they let another one in.
Exactly.
Is that it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Fair enough.
It's like Thunderdome.
You have to battle to stay in the room, which apparently I do a pretty good job
I'm a
at.
lover, not a fighter. I can't battle.
So you move that's kind of how the whole career began at G4, and then G4 ended, which was a sad day, but then that kind of led me to hosting for Marvel. So I hosted their live streams when they first started out, which was probably one of the most memorable. I've had a lot along the way, but I remember getting to host the live stream for the Avengers premiere. And they came up to me and they're like, so you're just going to be like the commentator talking about everything going on the carpet? And then they came up to me, then they're like, Kevin doesn't want to announce everybody, Kevin Feige. They want you to go on stage and announce the whole cast. And I just remember being like, oh my God, I am going to pee my pants, not my pants because I was wearing a dress, pee my dress. And I got up there and I was just like, I'm literally announcing characters that I grew up reading. It was mind blowing. And then now being at a place where working with DC, I'm like, I might get to do it again with the Justice League, which is crazy. So,
When's that? When would that be?
well, it would be for the premiere, but I don't know yet. There's no details yet, but just kind of getting to that place where it's like, I got to do Wonder Woman. I'm like, it's going to happen for Justice League.
You did the Wonder
I'm gonna
Woman
do it.
premiere as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten to see Justice League yet?
I have not. And I was actually sitting over there and I was like, I'm actually kind of glad I haven't seen it yet, because I feel like it'd be really hard for me not to say anything up here.
Really?
But I haven't seen it yet. No, hopefully soon. So, you might know somebody that might know about an early
You
one.
got it
Who
in,
knows?
dude.
I know. I gotta find out.
Not just him.
What?
We'll see.
Field trip.
What'd you bring us tonight, man? Talk
So
about.
just talking about kind of listening to what you guys were saying up here, I was kind of, the big news for me that I heard was Stephen DeKnight was talking about
As the guy who did Daredevil season 2?
Yeah, and Spartacus. But I guess in an interview, he was talking about the fact that obviously we're getting Kong, Godzilla crossover. And then they were
Wait,
talking
what?
Kong and Godzilla in 2020.
That they have a date for it?
That one I'm pretty sure is out in 2020.
Okay.
But then they were talking about also now there's a chance, there's no Easter eggs that are for sure, but then also mixing kaiju in. So it would be like a 3-character crossover, 3-film crossover.
So what would the kaiju be? Just from what? From
Or just the Jaegers?
Yeah. So it would be just a whole multiverse thing again. So just kind of thinking about that, like, how do you guys feel about having that many different genres, characters within one? Because I feel like everyone wants to mash everything together.
I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're going to bring kaiju into the world of Godzilla, King Kong. I mean, historically, Godzilla has fought what could be considered kaiju monsters, right? To some degree. That doesn't feel like an unnatural fit. It's not like,
but do we need them all in one movie?
We need Jaegers. Yeah, like that's what I thought. Like when you were talking about kaiju, I was like, oh my God, are they going to cross Pacific Rim over with those movies? But
yes, that too. That was where they're saying the Easter eggs.
I mean, I'm all for it, man. Like anything that makes me go, oh, that's different. Like even Godzilla King Kong doesn't feel that different to me because I had that as a child. Yeah. So it'll be a much better looking version of it. But if you're like, hey, we're going to throw in fucking kaiju, I'm like, all right, well, now I got some skin in the game, more so than I did in just the version of Kong and Godzilla. You?
It's funny. Somebody asked me on Twitter the other day, like, if I could start any universe, what would it be?
Yeah.
And my answer was, just make me a good movie. You know, like, do not have your eye on the universe before you give me a decent movie to build the universe on. Like, don't dark universe it. Don't be like, oh no, there's gonna be 9 of these movies and here's our cast and we're gonna fucking roll, when you don't make one good movie.
Yeah.
And if you've got a great story to tell about Jaegers fighting Godzilla, fighting Kong, all for the fate of humanity, then great. But if it's, hey, we have the rights to all this, we'd be knuckleheads if we didn't put it in a movie, that feels like the wrong reason to make that movie.
Let me ask you a question, both of you. Does that movie, fuck the kaiju version, just Godzilla Kong, does it need a human story at all? Now, I'm not saying will it have one.
A good human story? Yes.
But does it even need one? Like, honestly, wouldn't you fucking pay $10 to just watch like 90 minutes of Godzilla and Kong beating the fuck out of each other and never once cutting to the ground to be like, do it, Kong! And like, or whatever the fucking human story is down below. Like, nobody gives a fuck. But you know it's going to be like 5-10 minutes of them slugging it out. I say just do it. Just do the fight version. Shit. Make it 1 hour long. I'll still pay $10. As long as there's no bullshit human story on the ground.
I will say this. I saw on a plane, I saw Shin Godzilla for the first time. Have you seen this movie?
Which one?
Shin Godzilla. It's the latest out of Japan.
From Toho?
I think Toho's involved in somehow. It's a Godzilla movie, but it is also this incredibly trenchant look at Japanese bureaucracy and how the fucking red tape keeps people from doing what they know needs to be done. So there's a very real human story in this movie, but there's also Godzilla being fucking awesome and shooting laser beams out of his back and this fucking weird ballsack version of him, and then he grows up into the giant flamey version, and it's amazing. But it's also this really smart satire and this really smart social commentary. If you do that right, if there's a world in which you can figure out the human story that makes sense and just isn't fucking people saying, what should we do? I think Godzilla should win. I think it should be Mothra. Mothra's here. Mothra! And then you see little like 9-inch girls shouting for Mothra because they broke out of their box where they just call for Mothra all the time. I'm down for the good version of that. Right. But if you give me the shitty version, I don't want it. I'm with you. I'm just like Clash Royale.
I mean, I feel like you see those fights online. Like there's people creating those awesome battles on YouTube right now. So it's like, if you're going to do a blockbuster, big budget movie, then have a good writer involved in it too. You know, not saying that there aren't YouTubers that are great writers as well, but it's like, if you're going to have all that budget behind it, I would hope that we could get both. We could get awesome fights and good story.
Think about Godzilla. Remember Bryan Cranston was in Godzilla?
Yes, and I'm still upset that they made that movie look like he was going to be in it for more than 2 minutes.
I know. And at the end of the day, though, it's like, you know, that was not the most interesting aspect of Godzilla. The most interesting aspect of Godzilla should always be Godzilla. And in that movie, it was like you saw him just as doors were closing, as suggested and stuff. If you're going to spend the money, just fucking like give it to a bunch of dudes and women behind computers who are going to make two fucking things that don't exist fight each other and fuck the story on the ground, man. Unless unless you can do what you're talking about. Like,
I mean,
that could be smart.
It's a hard fucking nut to crack, you know. But I remember taking my son at the time he was 10 to go see Gareth Edwards' Godzilla. And he said, you know, Dad, for a movie called Godzilla, there should be more Godzilla in it.
Kids out of the mouth of babes.
I cannot fault you there.
Fucking
man.
truth falls. That's absolutely right.
So, like, yeah, just don't fucking skip me on the Godzilla, but I have to
I hate to
care.
be this guy, but I made a movie called Clerks. You know what we had in it? Lots of clerks. We didn't fucking short on the clerks, and all they did was fucking clerk. Like, you know, they talk about Star Wars, but it was while they were clerking and shit. It's not too much to say, like, if your movie's called Godzilla, should be 80% Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. Like, I remember seeing the original Godzilla, and I never realized why I loved it as much as a kid, as much as when I was a
Why?
kid.
Why do you think you loved it as a kid?
Because it's never Godzilla's fault.
Yeah.
Those movies are about a kid who breaks shit in the house and didn't mean to. It's like, I knocked over a lamp. Fuck, I'm sorry, Dad. Like, you did it. I didn't mean to. I'm just learning how this body works.
Right.
That's what Godzilla is. I didn't mean to destroy Tokyo. You guys made me, Mom and Dad, an atomic bomb. It's not my fault. You know, and I think that you sort of need the human story to frame that story of Godzilla needs to be the sympathetic hero. And if it's just two things punching each other, which I'm down for, I think you just need to be able to frame it in such a way that I emotionally respond to it as well.
Well, I think that immediately it made me think of Edward Scissorhands, because I think it's that same kind of vibe that happens in that movie where it's like you put this character who's not supposed to be in this setup environment in it, and they're trying to fit in and they just can't and just keep misstepping. And there is that emotional tug. There is that feeling where it's like, talk about a movie that Edward Scissorhands makes me cry, and I'm not embarrassed to admit it. It totally does.
No.
But it's exactly because of that reason, because there is that emotional story. And I remember seeing Godzilla and I was like, and I'm not saying that the actors in it are bad actors, but there wasn't a good story for them to tell, and you didn't feel anything from them. So that's why I think in that one I was like, I wanted more Godzilla, because the story was not pulling me in.
You got to fill my time with something. Either I'm responding to it emotionally or smash bam Spartacus.
And that's why we have Transformers.
I think I'm stuck on you being the only person who fucking drew a comparison between Godzilla and Edward Scissorhands, man. I don't know how you made it, but you stuck the landing. It was actually pretty good.
I feel like it was, I never really thought about it in that way until you were describing Godzilla that way. And I was like, yeah, that's how I feel about Edward Scissorhands.
I think we might have talked about this a little last week, but we got into it on Hollywood Babylon this week, and I just want to throw it out there. Universal, because we talk about the dark universe and stuff.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Universal's run at their Universal Classic Monsters and stuff. Now, whenever Universal does their monsters, they put like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and oftentimes they include the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, to me, isn't he a fucking victim? Like, they always like, look at this monster, and he's like, it wasn't my fucking fault. Like, they persecuted me. Just because the dude looks a little fucking weird, they throw him in the monster category, man. I think it's tragic, and I think he should be saved.
Or I think he's the fucking big boss who's running the monsters.
Like, he's in charge?
He's in charge. Like, he's the motherfucker
He's
who's been
fucking
like
topping from the
picked
bottom?
on his entire life. Like, yeah, you motherfuckers, I'm coming for you. I got monsters, bitch. What you got?
I don't think you saw that movie or read that book. That's not what happens.
That's what I want to happen, though.
He's like, in my dream version, that's how it goes down.
I like your version of the Hunchback much better than the one that I saw.
I got a hunch, bitches. It's going down.
The hunch bitch of Notre Dame. All right, man, let's open it up to you guys. Let's find out. This is the part of the show where we go Q&A style and stuff. So, Bam, I see a hand right there. Let's start with you. Thanks for being here. You guys sold us out again. We'll keep coming back as long as you sell us out. So thank you very much. Trailers, let me see. Like, my favorite trailers of all time was so stripped down. You could never fucking sell a movie like this today. But it was the first teaser trailer for Tim Burton's 1989 Batman. It was literally just a series of dry clips, no fucking score or anything like that. Just an assembly, really, like of a few scenes. And maybe it played an hour or like a minute and 20 seconds or something like that. But I still remember it to this day. Their very stark approach. They didn't oversell it. They literally let the visuals do the job. And they kind of did a very cut up, there's story. There was no narrator going like, he is a bat of the night. Like, it's just literally dialogue from the movie. Like him going, hi, Bruce Wayne. She goes, Vicky Vale. And what do you do for a living? And then they cut to him dressed like Batman and fucking yanking the dude off the Ace Chemicals, like runway, whatever the fuck. That trailer's still incredibly effective. I don't understand why they don't do that more. Now, you think of a wonderful trailer like the trailer, the second one they did for The Punisher, where they used Metallica and cut the fucking guns to the drum beats and stuff. And you sit there going, well, that's why. Why would you ever just put up an assembly of scenes when you can artfully craft something that puts somebody in a mood or grabs them viscerally on that level? But that dry trailer with no score and just a series of scenes kind of cobbled together, you could tell they'd only been shooting for a few weeks or a few months or something like that. And then there was a card at the end that just had the Bat logo on it. I thought it was insanely effective, and I still think about it all the time to this day. And periodically in the morning when I'm waking and baking, I'll just watch that trailer on YouTube. Remember that feeling of like, oh my God, man, they're coming, it's coming and shit. And that's before we knew what the score. That's probably because they hadn't even recorded any score with Danny Elfman yet. So there's nothing to use, and it's not like they were gonna run, fucking 66 Batman theme under it. So they just went dry, and I thought it was really effective. What about you guys?
I think the interesting thing is you said it was like a teaser trailer. It wasn't even the full trailer, which is one of the weird things right now where it's like you get a teaser trailer and then you get another teaser trailer and then you get trailer 1 and then you get trailer 2. And that's where I think it gets really hard because at that point you're like, have I seen too much? A lot of times you have, or you've seen all of the epic moments. Because this is a more recent one, but I remember seeing the trailer for Man of Steel and just that trailer, I almost like wept. Like I just had so many emotions, and I was like, this is the Clark Kent I want to see. This is the world that I want to see. And I think that it's something to be said for people who cut trailers really well that do that job. But then it's really hard because you see a trailer like that, and then those moments, there aren't quite as many of those moments in the film as you expected because of the trailer. Or you go to Godzilla and you're like, well, we didn't get Bryan Cranston in it, and he was in the whole trailer. So,
or in the case of Mother, like that Darren Aronofsky
or they don't
movie,
explain the movie even.
That trailer did that movie an incredible disservice because it sold you a movie that just didn't exist. Yeah. The trailer was for like a Rosemary's Baby type movie, like fucking horror thriller. So a bunch of people showed up looking for that, and it was something completely different. And what it wasn't bad at all, but it just wasn't what people were promised. So I think a lot of people reacted on that level. But yeah, don't bait and switch me. I'm the guy though that's like, you can't show me too much. I don't give a fuck if they total up 45 minutes of real movie in the trailers. Like I'm in anyway, so it just makes me more excited and stuff like that. Like I love the people on YouTube that gather all the trailer footage and put it together in the like 20 minutes of the movie. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get baked and watch the shit out of this. What about you, Marc?
I think one of the best modern trailers I've seen, or even the modern campaigns I've seen, is for Baby Driver. I think that all of those trailers were phenomenal because the movie's thin story-wise to begin with, but they're selling you on the feeling of being in that movie. They're selling you on speed and adrenaline and propulsion and rhythm, and all of that cut together really smartly sells that movie in a big bad way. One of my favorite trailers ever is for this movie. I want to say it's 98. I'm not sure, the date could be off. Little Children. Did you guys ever see this movie?
Oh, fuck. I love that movie. Love that movie.
Kate Winslet, Patrick Wilson.
That
as you know, she's a
Jackie
suburban
Earle
housewife.
Haley's
Jackie Earle Haley is a released pedophile sex offender, and Patrick Wilson is just like the hunky new guy who moves into town. The trailer is just a kind of collection of shots of the two of them, like longing glances, whatever. The soundtrack underneath it is of a train approaching an intersection. So you get this building sense of suspense, just the loud, the wheels on the track and the ding, 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 ding. And it's all about a collision of these people together. And once they collide, their lives will never be the same. And it's telling you so little about the movie itself, except it's telling you everything about the movie. And it's this perfect little 2-minute short film that's sound and vision and suspense and romance and lust and want and all those things. It's totally worth digging up because it's amazing.
I love that flick. What about you? Favorite trailer recently or old trailer impacted you?
I mean, I would definitely still say Man of Steel, but the other thing that just came up for me this week was the Thor Ragnarok trailer came out, which didn't come out. But the interesting thing was people are like cutting it apart now because there's stuff where Odin shows up with one background in a teaser, and now the background is different.
Oh, really?
In the trailer, and Taika Waititi had to come out and actually he talked about it because he was like, it's nothing, it's not a big deal. I just felt like the scene felt better this way than this way. But it's like we get so many trailers like that now where it's like everybody's analyzing every little moment of every little trailer. So there's so much more thought that has to go behind it where it's, even talking about The Last Jedi where, he's like, don't watch any more trailers. The director comes out and says, don't watch anymore. Just go see the movie and experience it.
Yeah, I mean, there's shots in the Force Awakens trailer that never made it to the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we thought this was an awesome shot, so put it in there.
And there's bound to be shots from all those Justice League trailers that aren't going to make the movie. In a world where Joss Whedon has shot a bunch of new material, that means old material is probably going to go, particularly with a lean running time of 2 hours. So I guarantee you there's footage that we've seen that we'll never fucking see in the finished film. Feels like it. All right, where are we going to go next? Bang, right there.
So can you please tell me how fucking Whiting Jar Cacophony ended? Because I've been waiting for many years.
I did a miniseries, 2 miniseries with DC Comics years ago. One was called Batman Cacophony, and one was called Batman: The Widening Gyre. Did them both with Walt Flanagan, the guy from Comic Book Men. And then there was a third series to go, Batman Bellicosity, and we have 3 issues fully drawn, 4 issues written, and then we started Comic Book Men, and that was 7 seasons ago. So Comic Book Men got in the way of us finishing that. But it was also not one of those things where the whole world was banging down our door going, we got to know the ending. But there are enough people out there where, like, for the last 2 years, me and Walt have been talking about doing it. At DC last year, I was there for something else unrelated, and Jim Lee and Dan DiDio were both like, it's time to finish that Batman book with Walter, So, I just told Walt that too. Like, Jim Lee was on Comic Book Man for one episode, and he turned to Walter like out of nowhere, and he was like, you ever going to finish that Batman book? And Walter was like, you heard about that? So, yes, we will definitely be getting back to it. Hopefully this is the year, for sure. Okay, yes.
So you talked about how now we've changed the kind of tone. It's not just, the standard superhero movie. You can have horror, you can have romantic comedy. DC, Marvel, indie, anything in particular, if you're choosing something that you really want to watch, and what kind of genre do you want to be put in place? But something that
hasn't been done yet. I'm still looking for a film noir of The Question. I think that'd be really, really cool. Something like Blood Simple, but with Vic Sage or Renee Montoya as The Question. I think that character is visually interesting as fuck, horrifying on some level because it's a featureless face, and you're basically doing murder mysteries and stuff. So that's the one I'd lean toward. You?
I always go to Zatanna. I want to see more. I want to see more magic from the world of DC. I feel like we've gotten to see a lot of the superheroes, the supers, and I'm ready for more of the magical side of things. I think we got a little bit with Constantine, and we could have delved even deeper into that. So, and I think it would definitely have to be a little bit darker, a little bit more adult feeling. I don't know that it can be like the bright, happy world, but I feel like there's that circusy feeling that you could get where there's a creepiness to it, but it's still colorful. That would be really cool within that space. That's what I would want to see.
I think I want to see a Batman movie that's actually a detective story. Because I feel like most of the Batman movies do not involve the world's greatest detective actually detecting much of anything.
No, just the world's richest man with a lot of toys.
Yeah, and punching his way into and out of stuff. Like I want I want the Sherlock Holmes of it. I want the Sherlock Holmes meets Zorro that Batman was always supposed to be. We get a lot of the Zorro. We get a lot of the rich guy playing the fop who's got all the toys that a man can want. We do not get a lot of the dude who is smarter than everybody else on the stage. That's kind of what I miss.
Hey, before we go someplace else real quick, you watching the CW shows? Are you current?
Yes. I'm pretty current. I think I might be one episode behind in a couple.
Have you noticed this season that Supergirl, last year Flash went dark and Supergirl was very comic booky with aliens fighting in broad daylight and stuff. This season, they seem to have switched tones. Flash has become very comic booky and comical as well. They've started leaning into the comedy in a big bad way. And Supergirl has gone pretty starkly serious.
Yeah, I did notice that, but I feel like it's when the Flash first came out, that was what they leaned on so much, was the comedy of it, the lightheartedness. And I remember when that one came out, I used to watch Smallville and like TGIF with my family, and there wasn't something that you could watch as a family and get that feeling from it, and that it wasn't, too sexual or too whatever. And that was what The Flash was the first season. And then I think that in a good way, they took those characters to a different place and played with some different stuff. And then now we're getting to lighten it up a little bit more. And that for sure is coming across. And then I think with Supergirl, it's like you've got so many actors on that show where just the moments between the sisters on that show
Amazing.
Are so good that I want more of that. On The Flash, I love the fact that Grant is so funny, and Carlos and, all those actors, I think they play comedy so well. Not saying that they don't on Supergirl, but I feel like they're kind of leaning into what each set of actors does best. So I'm excited that it's going that direction and that there is more emotion, because this season, the stuff that even just Melissa, where, she's having to play a lot more of the emotional side of things and the hard things that Supergirl has to deal with that you don't necessarily think you're going to get with Supergirl, but you're getting them, and it's so good.
Eloquent. All right, where are we going next? Sure. You don't have to stand, but that's adorable, but go ahead.
Michael, I just moved here from Delaware like 4 weeks ago.
Moved here from Delaware. Right on, man.
Welcome.
You are like, I love everything you do. You're one of my biggest inspirations.
Thank you.
Blueprint of how to end up where you're at.
A blueprint.
Or at least like a step in the right direction.
Honestly, just trust in yourself and trust in your friends. Like, there's a reason you came out here. And it's not just because you're like, this is where they make entertainment, because now you can make entertainment anywhere and stuff. There's a calling. You're hearing it, like in that fucking dopey Kermit song, Rainbow Connection. Yes. There's a line where they say, have you been half asleep and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Something's calling you that says like you want to be a part of something that you've watched. And for many people, it's okay to just spectate. It's okay to watch. But then there's a certain percentage where you can watch only to a certain point before you're like, well, I want to play too. That looks fun. Like, and the longer you watch and the longer time goes on, you start to realize there's really nothing holding you back from at least trying or heading toward it, if that's the thing you're kind of interested in. How old are you? You just turned 30. So I'm 47, so you're one like generation below me, let's say. Right now, your generation, like my generation was raised to be like, you got to go to college and that's the road to success. Otherwise you're just going to join somebody else's job or you're going to work for somebody else. The only way to prosperity was, fucking through higher academia and stuff. But now, like your generation and the generation under you and stuff like that, they're told differently. They're just like, hey man, figure out what you love to do, then figure out how to get paid to do it. And that's the fucking secret to life. So you're halfway there. You've now figured out what you love to do, and now you just got to figure out how to get paid to do it. In my case, it was a weird, I was never in it for the money, so the money was way down the road. I just wanted to make a movie. I just wanted to see Clerks. So once that happened, it kind of opened the doors to everything else. And I could have just stayed as a filmmaker and stuff and practiced and gotten better at that. If you've seen Tusk, you know that's not the case. But for me, it was more interesting to try a bunch of different things. Movies opened up the door to like, oh, I can write comic books. And in 1990, 97, 98, like wanting to write a comic book and working in this business, they were antithetical. Like my agent was like, why would you do that? They only pay you like $100 a page. What a waste of time. And I'm like, because I grew up reading this shit. And the chance for me to like, now because of this stupid movie I made, I might be able to write fucking Green Arrow. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking try. I'm gonna go and talk to them and hopefully it'll pan out. And it did. So I just leaned toward things that I liked. Like that's what got me there in the first place. I just wanted to see that movie Clerks. I'd seen Richard Linklater made Slacker. I was like, fuck, I want to see if I can make a movie. And I did, and it opened up the door. But rather than like be the guy who, like Robert Rodriguez, you know, he made his first film and then he concentrated on his craft. He's a brilliant filmmaker. Most of my peers are brilliant filmmakers, you know, people who practice their craft and shit and do it over and over again, speak the language of cinema. As much as like I love movies and that's what got me in, there are too many other interesting things. Like I'd rather fucking podcast than practice my visual arts. I'd rather, obviously we're doing one right now, you know, we're in the midst of it. I'd rather like, you know, write a comic book. I'd rather fucking interview somebody or go stand on a stage and talk. Like there were other ways to storytell. In the beginning, and there's just that one way, like, oh shit, Richard Linklater made a movie, I'll make a movie and I could be a storyteller. But that opened up a lot of opportunities to tell stories other places. And as long as you don't give a fuck about the money, you'll go interesting fucking places. And I know it's tough not to give a fuck about the money. We all gotta get paid, we all gotta pay our bills. But as long as you can pay your bills and stuff and leave yourself enough freedom to like go like, all right, I want to try this now. I want to try this now. Look, it helped in my case that something established me and then I could go off and try other things. But that establishment, I know a lot of people think like I'm probably fucking make more money than I do, but I never made a bunch of money making those movies and shit like that. And I still, to this day, haven't made a bunch of money. This is not me crying poor by any stretch of the imagination. People pay me ridiculous money to stand around and talk about Batman, so I'm very fucking lucky. But that being said, it's like I live hand to mouth. I have no massive savings. Like basically money comes in, we pay our bills, and then all the money's gone, and then I go back to work, and then there's more money and stuff. So it's a pretty much like everybody else. It's just, you know, the money's different because it's an entertainment and shit. But the money's never been the draw. I've always sacrificed making more money to do something that I thought was interesting. Maybe it's not gonna pan out, maybe it's not gonna pay as much as this, and I'll never get as respected as most of my peers who've actually gotten way better at their job. You think about it. I made Clerks way before Chris Nolan made fucking Following, let alone Memento. And I'm still talking about Clerks, but when was the last time you ever heard Chris Nolan go like, oh, I made a movie called Memento once? You know, like, he talks about Dunkirk and he talks about whatever he's doing next because he's in forward motion. But I'm the person that like, you know, I made Clerks and for the next 20 years, I was like, did I tell you I made Clerks once? You know, because I have this whole other career of just talking about the things that I've done. So it's been a distraction from getting great at the one thing that I was known for in the beginning. But I don't care. I was never in it to win awards or become a master craftsman. I just wanted to tell a story. I just wanted to tell that one story. And then all of a sudden, I was able to tell other stories. And rather than just focus on like, well, let's just do it in movies, because movies are ridiculously expensive. Like, it's so much easier. Think about the story I just literally told you. It's all words, it's all time, not dimes. So if I wanted to make a movie of that, I'd be like, oh my God, give me $20 million and Ben Affleck. You know, it's like, it's much easier to sit down and just talk rather than like try to craft images, particularly because the shit I tend to make movies about is very small. It's very people talking to each other. And that's kind of what podcasting is anyway. So I don't know if any of that helps whatsoever. My best piece of advice is anything that you're interested in, lean toward it. Here, you can't guarantee it won't become part of your life or your career or you know, somehow enrich you either monetarily or spiritually or something. But these are the two things I say to myself after everything I do, whether I enjoy the results or I don't enjoy the results. The first thing I always say is, you wanted this. Like, no matter what happens, I'm like, you wanted this. You once thought this was so fucking important that you reshaped the entire universe and inconvenienced a fuck ton of people to make yoga hosers. So you wanted this, like, enjoy it. That's one thing. And then the other thing I always tell myself is, what was the alternative? Like, honestly, what was the alternative? If I didn't try that thing, I would have sat around my whole life going like, what would it have been like if I did it? Oh my God, we should still do it. And it would haunt me and shit. I'd rather get it out of my system, try it. It doesn't work out great, whatever. You know, what that means? It's practical. It's manufactured for use. Let me say I have this dream of this thing I want to do. 2 options. Either you do it or you don't do it, and then it haunts you until the day you fucking die. So let's say I choose to do it. I don't do it going, this is going to be a bridge to success. I do it going, this is me doing that thing. And its best result, the best reward I'm going to get out of this is it's going to exist. It didn't exist, and it's going to exist. I'm not looking for the whole world to fucking love it. I'm not looking for it to make a bunch of money. That shit would be great, believe me, and I wouldn't say no if that happened. But I don't aim toward that because you can't plan for success. Nobody can. I don't give a fuck, man. Like Thor's about to come out. I guarantee you, everyone at Disney, the Thursday night, they're going to clench their assholes going, I hope this works. Even though they know that movie's probably going to work, but there's no fucking guarantee. A fucking nuke could come over from North Korea and suddenly that ruins the box office for the weekend and shit like that. So with no guarantee of success, you have to do it for other reasons. And the reason to do it is because you're like, I need to do it. I need to do it. It's very masturbatory, but you're like, I have to get it out of my system if I'm ever going to continue on in life. So it's worth doing if it haunts you that much. Those 2 things are always worth remembering. You wanted this, but more importantly, like, what was the alternative? What were you going to do? Just sit there for the rest of your life, go like, I always wanted to try that, but I didn't. You get one go around as far as I know. And this is what we don't know. What happens when you fucking die? There's a lot of people that'll tell you go be with Jesus or somebody else and shit like that. And there's a bunch of people that tell you that you're a computer that winds down and when you're done, you're fucking done. One of the scariest yet most beautiful fucking moments of death that I've seen recently that made me contemplate my own and reshape my world in a way I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. It's never where you expect it. It was in an episode of Rick and Morty. In the season finale of Rick and Morty had one of the most terrifying yet real moments to me that actually put me on a thought process of like, man, I got to fucking live differently. It was the moment where they're in the, spoilers, if you haven't seen the episode, they're in the Oval Office and, you know, the president's like, arrest this man about Rick. And so a Secret Service man is approaching him. And Rick goes, son, you don't have to listen to that order. And I guarantee you, if you touch me, you're going to die. And he goes, and nothing happened. He goes, and when you die, nothing happens. It just goes black. Don't do it. And then the kid touches him and fucking drops dead. And everybody in the room goes, what happened? And he goes, he's dead. And he's going, what is that? He goes, it's called a deterrent. And they're like, you couldn't have just knocked him out? And he's like, how is that a deterrent? Everyone wants to be knocked out. Nobody wants to be dead. But that moment of him going like, and there's no afterlife, son. It's just all black. Like I sat there going like my whole life, I was raised Catholic, man. All I was sold was an afterlife. Pain in this life, joy in the fucking next and stuff. And the older I get, the more I realize, shit, I was sold a fairy tale. There's nobody knows the fucking truth, what happens on the other side. And, you know, if I'm going to believe Father Dalzell from childhood, I got to believe Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland know just as much. And I got to tell you, their vision of what happens in the end is far more terrifying than anything they ever told me in church. So it just makes you go like you got one go around. You don't know. You could be like that dude in Rick and Morty. You touched Rick and you fucking died and that was it and shit. And your whole life's over. Might as well lean toward the things that you want to try. Now, if you're, you know, I want to try killing children. I'm not fucking talking to you, you know. But if you're like, I want to try creating shit, then I'm all for that. There's 2 paths in this world, destruction and creation. Pick creation. It's way better. It's way more fun. Just as long as you don't expect the whole world to agree with you at all times. Sometimes they will. Sometimes you're going to make shit and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, you're so clever. And then sometimes you're going to make shit and people will be like, you've lost it. You know, but it doesn't matter. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. Good?
Oh my God, you're so clever.
All right. Let's go somewhere less heady and more pop culture-y over here. Go. I know my answer would be like Clerks 3, so you go.
It wouldn't be a movie. It would be a TV show, much to your point. I want to make a Secret of NIMH TV show.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you were a fan of the book?
I was never read the book. I was a huge fan of the Don Bluth movie. But that world is so fucking dense and thick and rich, like me. And
And his voice drops an octave.
like me. It's Game of Thrones with mice and rats. And I think that you could absolutely get 100 episodes out of that. That would be fascinating and riveting and blood-curdling. And because fucking super intelligent rats are frightening from every level. But no, that's if you could convince MGM to give me like $70 million, I would do that until I died happy.
All right.
It's hard.
I know, especially when he fucking pulls Secret of Nim out of his ass. Suddenly every answer is going to be pale in comparison.
Well, especially I'm the one who's like, write stuff for me and I'll say it. Like, I think recently I was talking a lot about just do it, like obviously Star Wars. I do a podcast or a show all about Star Wars, obviously, as well.
What's
on
it called?
Collider. We're Jedi Council, and I'm the Smith Lord on Jedi. Yeah, on Jedi Council.
Are you Smith Lord?
Smith Lord, yeah.
good.
You can't take it even though you're a Smith.
I know. It sounds clever. It's taken.
I would probably want to do an underworld kind of seedy underbelly of Star Wars, and I would want it to be on Netflix. And I always go towards the darker side of things because I feel like in life I'm pretty lighthearted and pretty happy and peppy. So when I think about what I want to watch on TV, you get the Game of Thrones. I want the dirty, gritty side of things. I want to see the bounty hunters. I want to see pirates. I want to see scoundrels. I want to see that world of Star Wars that I feel like we're never really going to get on the big screen because they can't really get into the grit as much. So that's what I would want to see.
4 movies. Each one book of The Dark Knight Returns. Instead of all this like, hey man, it's 3 movies. It's what do they call it? Fucking
Trilogy?
Yeah, instead of all this trilogy bullshit. Thank you.
I thought that was going to be harder.
Can't believe I smoked that word away. Instead of all this trilogy talk, that'd be...
Is it triptych? Is triptych too smart? What do you mean?
That's above my
Like,
pay
it's
grade.
got to be a harder word than trilogy.
No,
No,
it's trilogy.
Okay,
That's what I was
We
looking
got
for.
it. We got it.
I'd go for a quartet, man. Each one of those books is dense enough, thick enough to provide content for its own movie. And in a world where you've now trained the audience to expect interconnected movies, I think that could totally work. I mean, yes, you could do it on Netflix as well, but, it's Batman. Let's put him in a theater. Although, I'd be all for Batman on TV. Did you see Arrow this week? Referenced... Oliver Queen literally referenced Bruce Wayne, which I think was the first time on that show.
Oh, the other one I'd want Gem and the Holograms. That's my always go-to, but not the version that we got.
I remember the trailer.
I loved that cartoon.
The trailer for the $5 million version of Gem, I thought was pretty effective. But it wasn't. It didn't match that cartoon.
It was not like the cartoon. Did anybody watch the cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I loved it. I was like, musicals, positive message. It's bright and colorful. I wanted a movie version of it, not like what we got.
I will give you a movie though, because I feel like I cheated. I would want to readapt The Running Man by Richard Bachman / Stephen King.
Based on the
original novella, which is this super harrowing tale about this dude who's super broke, who basically mortgages his life to compete in a reality show where he's hunted across the country. And it's this super, like it's reality TV before there was reality TV. It's this really kind of deep social satire that ends with, if I remember correctly, your hero flying a plane into the broadcast tower of the network.
That's what happens at the end?
Yeah, spoiler for a 30-year-old book. But, it's science fiction at its highest level, which is it's about social. Like science fiction, for as nerdy and as wonky and techno-babble as it can be, science fiction is always about us, reframed in a way that we can look at us and not notice us. So it's that kind of thing. It's looking at income inequality. It's looking at the prevalence of reality television. It's looking at the teat of the media that everyone wants to suckle at. It's looking at it's way more relevant today than I think it was when it was written. They'll never make a movie because you can't have your hero end flying a plane into a skyscraper, but it's...
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah.
Tough meeting, I think.
Yeah.
That one.
They'd have to rethink that one.
I think so too.
All right, where are we going next? Let's get two more and get out of here. Yes.
This guy right here.
Oh, shit. All right, we'll go there and then we'll go there. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Hey, speaking of Ed Harris and metaphorical movies, what do you guys think of Snowpiercer, and have you heard anything about the show that's coming out next year?
I love the movie. I thought the movie was wonderful. But what is the TV show? Is there anybody behind the movie, behind the TV show?
I think Bong Joon-ho, is that it? How you pronounce his name? The Korean filmmaker is consulting at the very least, if not an active participant in the show. Josh Friedman, who wrote War of the Worlds and did Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, is the showrunner on it. I can't remember who the star is, but they cast somebody big, didn't they? Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly is playing who?
New
character?
Yeah, new character.
Because it was Chris Evans, wasn't it?
Right.
So it's like it's not based off of it's new stuff, not the book, not the graphic novel.
I'm not sure how deep they're going on whatever Le Transpilsiège or whatever the name of the French book is. My pronunciation is awesome. Transpilsiège.
It was based on a French comic book?
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm all for it because those people are smart and I love the movie. The movie's this weird fucking awesome chamber where every car is a different movie and half those cars make no sense at all and I don't care. Like, why is there a sushi car? Why? Build a whole fucking car for sushi.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah.
And I love that.
I loved the movie. I read the book and loved it. And what I enjoyed so much about the film was that it felt like playing a video game in some ways, where it's like you kind of just go through the next level, and then it's a totally different space. And I think that, where it's Chris Evans has talked about this, where, he really enjoys doing the smaller kind of indie films where he can really delve into his acting. So he'll flip-flop back and forth between, like, say, a huge Marvel film and then something like that where it's kind of in between. And so for me, when you get a movie that is so similar to the comic in that way, it makes me so happy when it works. Because a lot of times there's comics and you do it and you're like, it only works in this way if you try and do it exactly the same or so similar. It doesn't really work on the screen. But that one really does. So I'm curious to see.
I'm sorry. What was that? Did I?
Extended edition. I like the extended one. I loved.
I feel like The Watchmen is an amazing translation, but not a good adaptation. But that's just me.
They're making that again, aren't they?
They're doing it. Yeah.
Talking about doing it on HBO.
Yes. Unclear what that story will be either, except that it's not the book.
Hey, man, Chris Evans, like, I actually feel he gets to act his ass off in those Captain America movies. Like, I remember, like, I met him once on the Tonight Show, the Jay Leno Tonight Show, years back. And I think it was after they had done Captain America, the First Avenger, and I think they had started the Avengers, or it was done, but it wasn't out yet. So between, like, commercials and shit like that, like, because they sat us next to each other, which is fucking embarrassing, because we look like the number 10. And and so he so between commercials, I was like, hey man, what's it like? How's it Marvel, man, Captain America? And he was just like, they don't let you act. Stand here, you say this, you got to be there for this moment because it's all about the CGI. And he seemed kind of like down, like, I don't get to act as much. But meanwhile, like Captain America 2 and 3 and Avengers 2, like he acts his ass off. Like he's made Captain America a compelling character for me. I was a kid my whole life and I was always like, Captain America, that's fucking boring. He actually made Captain America like likable. I like his performance. I think he's a really good actor in that role particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking online a little bit earlier this week about Robert Downey Jr. versus Chris Evans. And I love Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark.
Oh, so much.
But I feel like it's Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
as Tony Stark. Like,
Fuck yes.
He's showing up as RDJ, doing that thing. It's like, give him money because he's great.
Yes.
Chris
he can
Evans,
have all mine.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think Chris Evans is doing an infinitely harder thing.
I agree.
Which is making an unvarnished, unironic sort of Boy Scout
Yes.
a compelling character and giving him shades and depth. Like, that's fucking hard. There's no jokes in Captain America. There's no wry, ironic twinkle in his eyes. There's just, I'm going to do the right thing because it's the right thing. And that's hard to make compelling. Like he's killing it in a role that should not be easily killed.
Agreed.
I think that because we've gotten more films, he's been able to do more. Because it's like the first Iron Man movie, I still think is one of the best superhero comic book films.
Favreau, man.
Yeah, it was.
He really set that whole template.
So good. And because it wasn't Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark yet, it was Tony Stark. And then, but the further we've gotten into it,
I disagree. I think
you think it was?
A lot of the fun of watching that movie, particularly in the end when he's talking about like, clearly I couldn't be a superhero with this long list of character defects. A lot of people don't remember now, but like there was a whole period of our lives where he was the guy who was like, Robert Downey Jr. woke up in a stranger's house today, you know, and you were like, oh man, what happened to him? And that's so long gone, you don't even think about it. But when that movie hit, you were like, oh, it's a perfect fit. Like Tony Stark as a ne'er-do-well, he's got kind of a similar background. It worked well. I thought that was there from the jump. And it worked so well. And like, remember, he was a guy they made audition. Like the studio was Paramount, and they were like, we don't know if we want this guy, but they wanted a younger guy. So they signed him for one movie and paid him peanuts. So the next movie, they had to actually pay him full freight, and then his check got bigger and bigger. And what I always loved about that is like, he just got paid more and more to be himself over and over again. Like it's ingenious. And I'm not saying it's not acting. He's clearly acting, but he's acting like Robert Downey Jr.
well, and half the time it's like a lot of the acting is just this part. So it's like,
oh my God,
does he just show up and it's just like, there's just a camera right here. And he's like, all right, I'm going to wear my PJs. Just get my face done.
Do you know who else was on that list for Tony Stark? I don't know. I'm just asking. Legit.
No, that would be good to find. Who?
Tom Cruise.
Whoa.
Was that true? But that would have been, then he was older than Robert Downey Jr., I thought, at that point. I thought they wanted to go younger. They were like, we want a kid in his 20s.
Yeah, or a legit movie star, I'm sure, because Paramount is in the Tom Cruise business.
That's true.
I remember that John Krasinski was on the list for Cap.
Oh, that would have been good. I can see that.
And Charlie Hunnam was on the list for Thor.
Okay.
I could see that, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, until you see Chris Hemsworth. Well, clearly, that guy.
And his whole fucking family.
Jesus. Even the lesser Hemsworths.
Where do we go next? Yes. How did Kevin and Marc meet and start a podcast? Where did we meet? What's your recollection?
My recollection is I was working for Entertainment Weekly, and I had pitched them on doing a filmography with you when Zack and Miri was coming out, I think. And so I reached out to your PR, and they said, sure, here's his email. And he's like, hey, let's set a time. We'll get on the phone. We'll talk through some shit. And you were like, hey, can we do this over IM? Because I'd much rather write than talk. Don't know who that Kevin Smith was. But I was like, sure, I don't have to transcribe anything. That's awesome. And so we interviewed, talked for like 2 hours online. And then like every like 3 weeks, you'd pop up on my IM with like dude, is this a comma or a semicolon? Like, you're an editor. You should know these things. How does this work?
That's true. That's true. I would ask him a lot of editing questions.
It was like,
I was like, do you put the comma inside a quotation or outside a quotation, Marc?
I'm like, sure,
Marc
man.
was human spell check.
I was his copy desk. And but then it would just start to develop. I was like, hey man, did you see that movie? Did you see Daredevil? I'm in Daredevil or whatever. And then it just became like nerd shit. And then he's like, hey, do you play cards? And I said, yeah, not well, but I play. He's like, I got a poker game we do in Jersey at the store. It's like, I live in Jersey. You should come to the game. So I came to the game and won a lot of money the first time.
Yes.
And then realized that it was not a good idea to win a lot of money every other time. So then lost a lot. My wife was like, why do you keep on going and drawing like $400? I gotta not win from the rich guy.
I never won myself, man.
I know, you were good that way.
Yeah.
And then I would come out to LA for work or pre-Comic-Con, and you'd be like, yeah, come to the house. I do this podcast with my wife. You should be a guest. Sure, man, I'll come on. And it was +1 with Jen. I came in one morning. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to New York and then came back out the following year. It was like, hey, there's this Paley event for this new Batman animated movie. We should do should do a fucking commentary track for Dark Knight Returns. I'm like, yeah, all right, fuck it, let's do that. Like, that was fun. Let's do all of the Batman movies. All right, sure, that's cool. Hey, that was fun. Let's do Gotham. Yeah, all right. This is not fun. Let's just talk about nerd stuff. Yeah, all right.
That's true. Gotham was the show that broke our back.
It really was. We got like 3 episodes in. It's like, dude, I cannot keep doing Gotham.
I understand it's gotten way better. Everyone's like, you need to watch it now. It's
They
fantastic.
say that every fucking season. It starts like, guys, you got to watch Gotham. Like, I know. Yeah.
He goes, no.
And then
Well,
it was,
sooner or later, I will catch up with it.
one of these days. Basically, it's Kevin saying, do you mind if we, and me saying, yeah, man, that's cool. Mind if we set up some cameras in here? Yeah, man, that's cool. You want it? Mind if we just put it on YouTube? Sure, man. You want to do some live shows? Fuck yeah, let's do Comic-Con. All right. Yeah, let's do a standard thing at the fucking cantina. All right.
It just kind of grew organically.
It really did. It's him saying, do you mind if we do this? And me saying, yeah, man, that sounds like fun.
Here's why I'll always love Marc. They did while he was in Entertainment Weekly, at San Diego Comic-Con 2008, I want to say. Yeah, it was summer 2008 because Zach and Miri came out like 2 months later. He put me on a panel in Hall H and it was called, what was it?
It was the Entertainment Weekly presents The Visionaries.
Visionaries. And the visionaries in question were Judd Apatow, Zack Snyder, Frank Miller, and me. So clearly one of these things is not like the other. So Marc put me in really good company. And that was at a time in my life when I desperately needed Judd Apatow to tell me, yes, I saw your movies. And so on that panel, we were chit-chatting, somebody, Judd Apatow, said, Kevin Smith laid the track. And I gave him the biggest fucking hug. I didn't prompt him. I wasn't like, can you fucking say it? But in my heart of hearts, I was like, God, I hope he says something. And he did. He was like, Kevin Smith laid the track. And I gave him the biggest fucking hug in the world. It was nice because his movies were blowing the fuck up. And people were like, hey, his movies are like your movies, except they make money. What's the difference? So it was really, really nice. But Marc putting me on that Visionaries thing was a big deal for me. I always remember that very fondly.
It was awesome for me because Kevin and Judd like to talk. Zach, sweetest man in the world, can't really stitch a bunch of words together into sentences. And Frank was old and grumpy and irate. So I'd ask him, so you're adapting the Spirit. What's it like? You've had some of your groundbreaking works adapted for the screen. What's it like taking another person's work of similar stature? He's like, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's Frank, there's 6,000 people here, dude. Give me a sentence.
They were very circumspect answers, especially considering he wrote The Dark Knight Returns, which is a very wordy book. Yeah. So I always imagined him with a question and he would hold court and do a 5-minute response, but he was like, it's good. And that was that.
Yeah. And I'd ask
He saves
Zach,
all the words for the comics.
And I'd ask Zach, hey, so you did the same thing with Watchmen. What kind of, mental hurdles did you have to jump over to be able to tackle such an important piece of work? And he would just kind of perambulate around an answer that was basically it was hard, but it would take him 2 minutes to say it was hard.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you're lovely, you're wonderful, but you gotta give me some copy, dude. There's people here.
He's gotten much better at that.
I think it was one of the first times he had to do that.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it may be one of his first Hall H appearances, but he's become quite a Hall H master. He learned to play that room very, very well. I remember when they dropped that Batman v Superman trailer the first time. Fucking goddamn it. All right. Is that it? Should we wrap it up? Well, there's one there. Go ahead. I don't. I have no John Peters stories that I never told back in the day. I remember when when John Schnepp's wonderful documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, came out. It's so good. It used to be on Showtime. I don't know if it's there anymore, but if not, you can find it online and buy it. It's fucking phenomenal. I got to see him in the documentary, and I hadn't seen him since 1996, John Peters. And the thing I loved about the doc was for years I've been telling John Peters stories, and people were like, you you're kind of blowing it out of proportion, aren't you? You're making a big cartoon and shit. And then he literally gives the on-camera interview, and it validates almost everything I ever said, where you're like, oh my God, he is kind of that guy. Like right down to the point where he's like putting wrestling moves on people. He's like, I've been in 500 street fights. So amazing. So no, there was nothing. I'm trying to think, no. I remember he went to the Chasing Amy premiere. I've talked about that. I don't know if it was in the story that I told on the DVD, but I remember he went to the Chasing Amy premiere and we had it in Santa Monica. And he was very impressed by the fact that it was only $250,000. He was like, $250,000? That's what that cost? $250,000? He's like, fuck, we'll pay more than that for a new draft of your script. And I was like, thanks. But yeah, no, I think I shot my wad with all my Peter stories. Is that good? Here, hey, guess what this week, folks? Halloween's coming up. What is today? So it's a week from tomorrow. If you're hard up for a costume, my whole life, I went to, costume shops and stuff like that as a kid. I love Halloween. I love dress up. It's very theatrical and shit like that. Although I'm not a costume guy. I live in a costume. I cosplay myself every day, but I don't like get dressed up for Halloween and shit, but I love to go to Halloween stores, go shopping. While my kid was growing up, we'd always go to Oz and stuff. They do a whole Halloween fucking setup and shit like that. So for years I'd go there and you would see like licensed versions of movie characters and sometimes like unlicensed suggested versions of characters. That was like, oh, clearly it's supposed to be Tom Cruise in Risky Business, but they can't call it that, so they'll be like Risky Adventure outfit or something like that. So I'd always go to costume stores and I'd look to see if they ever did, drug dealers outside convenience stores. I always wish to God they would do Jay and Silent Bob, because that would be a true mark of like, you've made it. If you were a store-bought costume, you fucking made it. Well, the folks at fun.com this year have released a Silent Bob costume, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, does it come with the beard and hair?
It comes with a fake beard and all that, but look at how fucking happy that guy is. It's so weird because they could have got me to do it. I would have totally put on this outfit and taken the picture and been that guy. But it's, I got one here. It's a large. So who's, all right, what happened? I helped you guys get married at Babylon? Right on. All right, well, we got to find.
No, but right on.
We got to.
He didn't even say no. He was just like,
wait, you're asking me to marry you on June 2nd?
He just wants the costume.
Give me a costume.
We got a personal connection.
Let's see if we could do it. Let's do a quiz.
Okay.
Ooh, everybody's people are like, now there's a competitive edge. All right, we need a question. Oh shit. Let me see.
clearly this was not planned.
No, I should have brought 70 of them. Then we could have just given them out.
Okay, I got a question.
You got one? Go.
I got one.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of question?
It is. It's a question about animation.
Would you get that fucking microphone up to your mouth?
It's a question about animation.
Okay, so it's an animation question.
Animation question.
And so whoever yells out the answer first wins the costume.
Yes.
Is it a multi-part answer? Like, do you have to say a paragraph or
Nope,
one word?
just a title. Give me the movie title.
Oh, beautiful.
Not Batman.
Batman should just be the winning answer for everything. All right, here we go.
In what Brad Pitt movie does he refer to humans as noids?
Cool World.
You can't fucking answer the question.
Your own costume.
Well, that's not fucking fair. I knew the answer, man. I did win it. Fuck. But I already got one of these.
So
All right, so let's do another one.
you come up with the fucking
man. I was so excited I knew that. I was like, oh my God, Brad Pitt was only in one animated movie. Cool World. Felt like I was on a game show for a minute. All right, you got another one?
No.
about you, Tiff?
I didn't come
Tiff,
with
you
fucking,
got one?
like
I'm
trivia
terrible with
questions
trivia.
stacked up like planes on a runway.
You got one? You have a trivia question? Oh, pick you. I see. Let's see. Well, I was gonna say which superheroes both name mother's name Martha, but oh, what's this? Ooh, fucking Marvel trivia cards. Well done, JC. Well, that's a true false. Let's not do that. That's also true false. That's also.
Are these for children?
These are too hard.
I just feel like he's gonna start reading them and saying, like, password,
Those
but it's
are-
like, don't say the answer, don't say
These
the
were
answer.
way too difficult. When you're referencing Franklin, the child of, Sue Richards and Reed Richards.
Wow, that's deep.
That's deep cuts. Fuck, man. I hate when you can't end the show because you can't think of it.
I hate when you can't end the show because the co-host fucks it up.
So
He was trying to be spontaneous.
I was so happy I knew the
I want
answer.
to play, I want to play. Name me one of the two black people in Die Hard. No, the characters.
What? was that?
TGIF throwback.
Wow. Argyle, who said Argyle?
You win the outfit.
Woo!
Also, there are 3 black guys in Die Hard. But that's all right.
You left me hanging, man.
Oh.
Congratulations, you're a winner. Well done, well done. Oh, shit.
We're fucking up the bar.
Well, fuck, man. That was it. It ended so awkwardly, but what a fun show. Did y'all have a good time this evening, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to thank our gracious hosts, JC and company here at Scum and Villainy Cantina right here in Hollywood. And of course, Tiffany, man. Give it up for Tiffany, ladies and gentlemen. Adding a bit of
Guys,
class
thank
to
you.
our show.
We are back here on November 14th, yeah?
We come back and do a show here on November 14th. Tickets, I think, go on sale tomorrow and stuff. So come on back if you're in this neck of the woods. Thanks for being here tonight. For Fat Man, I'm Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Who are you?
I'm the other Smith, Tiffany Smith.
Tune in next time, same fat channel, smodcast.com, or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
good night, Hollywood.